Good morning and happy Monday. My name's Tom Battinger. I will be your host for the moment as we get into another fantastic week of console action. We got a couple of things on the docket today, so let's dive right in as we get ready to swim amongst the best of them. And as I say the best of them, let's reflect on where the best of them will wind up. It's Hi-Rez Expo, baby. SPL Phase 2 is what we're wrapping up right now. This is where all the teams are kind of getting ready at the highest level. Our console teams, though, do have a chance to play against those squads. That's what we're looking at in blue. You can see Console 1 and Console 2. Two teams from this group of players will be able to get their way to the World Championship. If they do well in placement weeks, they'll be able to find themselves at said World Championship. So this weekend, we had some interesting things go on as far as Xbox is concerned. We won't be showing the European Xbox games, so this is your final look at where all the teams have landed undefeated. Team rival, hot damn, baby. Hive Central on the other side, 1-11. So Doubles and Side Poles will come up in second. And as I said, this is the final look at the standings. This is where it is. Concrete, pour it. 12 wins for Team Rival. They're up on top there on Xbox. PlayStation, we still have games to play out today, so this is what the standings look like before our final moments. Aerial Arise are flying high, 9-2, and MV3 will make out the bottom at 3-8. VGS Gods, competitive as always, 5-6, as well as OutCold Gaming, tied up there, separated only by their plus-minus. So an interesting look here on the European side of things as far as our leagues are concerned. As I said, this is right before we play our games. Xbox, though, in the money. They're all done, they're concrete, and they are cemented, and that is where we will see things. We have 2 European games to get into, though, and that's what we'll do right about now.
Welcome back to the SMITE Console League. It's Finch here now, and I'm going to be the one that's taking us through the PS4 EU set, at least this very first one here, where it's MV3 versus OutCold. And joining me for that is Anatoly Alexeyenok right here next to me. Anatoly, how you doing, man? I'm always glad to have you here. We're not going to have that many more, so I got to enjoy them.
Unfortunately not, but right. HRX should be really nice to see. These two teams not going to make it to the Hi-Rez Expo, but Aerial Arise certainly will from this region.
That's exactly right, and this region is competitive, and that's part of how Aerial Arise, I think, made it up. It was OutCold back in that first phase who were the dominant team, but that region continued to improve, and now Aerial Arise have taken up that mantle. But we'll still get to see these two strong teams battling it out. Obviously won't be affecting the standings or who actually makes it there, but always fun to watch some good SMITE.
I want to see some spicy spics between both of these teams. Week number 13, everything is just kind of up in the air with what you want to do and how you can build off of this synergy going up into the next year.
And it is up in the air. I think that you're right to say it. We've seen a lot more picks lately. I mean, Thanatos has now become a top-tier jungler, almost out of nowhere because of how well he can pass up on the Assassin's Blessing in the early game off his sustain. So if you can find more interactions like that, more gods that can get some early pressure, then certainly this is the time to bring him out and show us what you've got as we move into the picks and bans right away. Isis, Ullr, and Persephone all banned by the first pick.
Pretty standard bans coming through from OutCold Gaming, but Maverick's taking a shot, I think, at the jungler there with that Hunbat's ban. I think OhMyJhox maybe doesn't want to deal with that if he's going to be jungling for Maverick, so taking that away from GunTeR Warrior.
Well, they should get Amaterasu here with this first pick. Perhaps they were in the A's and were led astray over towards Artio, who's not particularly valued at this point. But if you knew the tier was coming, then you wanted Artio, right? Now the cripple field should be able to slow down a lot of what he wants to do.
Really surprised that the tier is selected into the Artio for those reasons you mentioned, but if you're looking for ways to shut down the Artio, the Thor is really good because you have long-range poke, you can stop the channel beam ability, and you can really isolate her and stop her mid-dash.
And it is worth mentioning that we are watching or playing then on the patch that you all are playing then out there at home, I believe, at this point here now, right, by finally. So if you all are used to playing out there with the Emoja, as it should be by now, then she won't be here, but everything, all the other changes you saw will be there. Like Tyr is in there with his knock-up having returned in its full glory and all that. So maybe that's why we're seeing Tyr get valued so much, and Artio thought of as a good answer to Tyr.
That definitely could be the case. So I'm expecting a lot of burst potential now. This is a heavy engaged composition between the Thor, Tyr, Poseidon. On the other side, OCG looking for ways to burn those purification beads with the Artio, with the Dodgy, and also with the Morrigan that could transform into either of those two.
And this is something else I've been hearing too, Totally, is that Aphrodite is really strong right now. So you've seen that getting banned away by OutCold. The Loki might not be quite as much of that same area, but the Aphrodite is certainly one that makes some sense. But this is a ton of aggression from this OutCold draft. The Dodgy, the Robin, the Morrigan, those are all characters that love to play kind of assassin-like. And now you're going to add in the Ullr as well. A ton of damage for OutCold.
Good pressure with this Ullr selection. Now, between Morrigan and Ullr, it's hard to really pinpoint where those two gods are going between the long lane and the mid lane. Doesn't really matter, though, because I think OCG should have pressure in both lanes, leading to some purple and red buff invades.
Well, let's go ahead and kick things off. OutCold versus Mavericks, game number 1. And remember, again, neither one of these teams can make it to the LAN, so these two teams just trying to come out here and fight for a little bit of pride that's on the line. In our final console week here, Anatoly won't be seeing them again until they come to play it.
And I think that's why Just Line picks the Ullr, right? If you're looking for fireworks in that long lane, you got to go for some high base damage abilities. Ullr provides that, and his build really revolves around that base damage. You got the Mage's Blessing for the ability damage, rushing into the Transcendence to get extra power and mana, and MP5 to spam those abilities.
See how well it works. Steven takes the Artio over into the short lane up against the Tyr. And again, with Tyr kind of becoming more prominent, you've probably seen him a lot lately in some of your games there at home. Maybe we will see this Artio matchup a little bit more. It's interesting if you're worried about it, not to ban it outright, but perhaps this is something that's meant to try and keep this Tyr somewhat in check.
It's going to be Steven instead of Fatality Fire today for OutCold Gaming. We'll see how he kind of plugs and plays in this role. Now, in the solo and the hunter role, I think those are the easiest roles that you can have kind of an AFK farm lane. And playing the Artio too, very difficult to die with all the sustain built into her kit. And then with his build as well. He rushed 4 health potions on top of the chalice. So my man is trying to survive.
He's looking for a scrap is what that tells me. Probably expecting to get some early minion aggro exactly like this and try and slow down Jose. Plus you have to try and keep up with all that sustain that he has as well. I'm not going to have too much problem with all this chalice rush here.
Yeah, it shouldn't be an issue for Steven whatsoever, but so far, Jose getting the better end of it. I think that this tier selection has been risen in popularity even before the changes to the defensive stance and knockback. I think that Solar Patrol has been showing it off a little bit there in the solo lane. I think Final K played it once, maybe even twice in that SPL, and now that it does have this knock-up, it's going to be even more popular.
I believe so too, man. We're going to be seeing a lot more of that god, so go ahead and start getting used to him. You saw Just Lion push up OhMyJhox Beast in that long lane just a moment ago, and you can expect that that's how this early game is going to be going for him. Anatoly started with the Mage's Blessing, starting to work towards a Transcendence, and even though Hachiman has some good mana sustain, probably not going to be able to quite stand toe-to-toe with the Ullr just yet.
Definitely not in terms of the damage output, but Just Lion jumping in aggressively. If he hits the axe, that would have definitely been kill potential, but now no dash to get away.
And the Jutsu stun there from OhMyJhox Beast, but he actually missed the auto on the stunned Just Lion. I don't know that that would have quite been enough for the kill, but either way, Just Lion never beats the stun anyway, so
My man has no fear.
Yeah, they're both very brave.
I mean, look what Just Lion did to Meerkat at the MSI, right?
That's right?
Everyone was running away from this man, so you got to respect him. But OhMyJhox, if he hits that one auto after the stun, I think he chases the kill,
right?
Tries to go past archers to get that last attack for lethal, but instead, because he has this pressure, now he's going to be looking for a very clean purple buff invade.
We'll see if that can happen. Dragon King is right here to try and slow this down. It looks like that was enough for MV3 to give up on it, at least for the moment. No, they're coming back in. Dragon King is, I don't know whose time is being more wasted. Feels like his, as OhMyJhox and Kuroneko are able to come over and at least grab this wave.
And that's a technical kill, because Just Lion having to back, he's going to concede this entire wave that's going to be under the tower, and they still might lose the purple buff.
Yeah, I don't know. At this point, was it really worth Dragon King just kind of standing around near purple buff all this time and taking all this extra damage? Out comes the ulti from OhMyJhox as well, but he can't find the kill. Two-man stun from Raidunw as he rotates over, but JhoX on his way to say hello to the party as well. Forces 2 back to the tier 1, but GunTeR Warrior's the one that finds first blood on the dodgy. OhMyJhox has fallen.
There's so many different people flanking at the same time, and now Dragon King trying to survive with a beautiful overhead kick. Not enough as RayoMid makes a beautiful rotation. First, it was the Ravana that was flanking, and then all of a sudden the Morrigan, the Thor, the Poseidon, everyone showed up to the party, minus the solo laners.
Yeah, and I've let myself get a bit confused here. It is this Ravana support. You just see Ravana, you just start thinking automatically he should be in the jungle somewhere, but that's why he's able to spend his time there around the purple buff defending it, because he's just keeping even with Kuroneko, so my apologies on that one. But he does end up taking a spill, and that's not perhaps the worst in the world, especially when on the other side, it was the enemy hunter that ended up falling, especially one that was ahead.
Well, he wanted it back anyway. He just finished off the warrior tab by. My man's just looking to play aggressive on this level 4 Ravana. He almost has access to the Mystic Rush, but when you're against an Ares, it's really hard to commit the Mystic Rush because you need that CC immunity.
Right.
Now, granted, you also have the overhead kick, so you have at least 2 tools to avoid that no escape.
I wouldn't be surprised if Dragon King continues to look for that matchup and sees if the CC immunity is enough for him to come out on top. OhMyJhox, despite getting or being the one that ended up taking a death, he still seems to have the pressure in lane, but maybe it's just a bit of a bait. Dragon King rotating over, but the EI Jutsu finds the stun on the way out. Not bad at all, and that cuts that off.
This is important, though, to try to get some chip damage onto OhMyJhox before he has Devil Gloves fully completed. But now that he has his own support right beside him, this could be a kill for Mavericks.
And no escape is available for Kuroneko as well. No blink, though, as they try and lock down Dragon King first. There's the Mad Archer for the slow and the damage. Waits out the overhead kick patiently, and OhMyJhox finds one more.
There was no way out of that one. Whether you get hit by the cavalry charge, the mounted archery, or you get hit by the no escape. So pick your poison almost, unfortunately, for Dragon King. Experiencing his second death, heavily slowing down now his ability to get access to that Mystic Rush. And when you pick this Ravana against the comp from MV3, it was trying to shut down the Poseidon after secondary ban phase, but now that he's still under-leveled, this level 7 Poseidon, even if his Kraken gets overhead kicked, he's still doing a lot of base damage to this level 4 Ravana.
And look at this, MV3 able to rotate multiple members over to confirm this purple buff invade. Takes to the sky, does JhoX. So they might transition this over into a full-on brawl in the jungle. Raidunw has revealed himself, but JhoX lands way out in Kansas. Doesn't matter. Kuroneko gets the first kill. Raidunw finds one of his own, but OhMyJhox makes it pay by taking his life for it. In jumps Just Lion into 3. Truly a maniac. Someone admit this man, and now he's on the run.
But he has no beats as well. One good wall from JhoX will do it, or just the base damage and the slows coming through from Kuroneko.
Yeah, Just Lion choosing to die the way he lived, going all in, and it ends up costing him there as MV3 come out on top in that fight. What was it, 2 for 1?
3 for 1,
3 for 1, yeah. That's a huge fight for MV3 in that jungle. And that was with JhoX finding nothing with the ultimate, by the way, so that just goes to show how favored they were in that engagement.
Now, 2 for 1 wouldn't be that bad considering that OhMyJhox was the one casualty for MV3, which would have allowed Just Lion to kind of bounce back. If he actually not rotated and he just sat in that lane, gathered that experience, he did the Cyclone Spin treatment there, just like ignoring team fights when it matters the most, is giving him the capability of catching up in experience, catching up in the stacking department, and getting closer to those warrior tabis.
It's been a lot of fighting here in the jungle as each of these teams playing maybe even a little bit looser than normal. It's hard to tell with Just Lion. He plays this aggressively almost all the time, but We don't normally see this many scuffles, not particularly around anything. Now, fighting around the red and purple buff makes some sense. You want to try and get these invades, especially for MV3 with an early lead. But this has been a little bit extra.
It has been, and it's the result of the vision they control. Look at the left side of the mini-map there already. 2 sentry wards, or sorry, 1 sentry ward and then 3 regular wards.
Another stun from OhMyJhox, but just Lion as the turnaround axe. But
no
JhoX
beats.
took to the sky. Can't find the stun, but the wall's there. Hammer teleports to it, but the spin out of range. He gives up on it, and now suddenly GunTeR Warrior is here and a whole lot less CC immunity available to MV3. He takes to the Palau, chains onto Kuroneko, can't find much more there, and suddenly Dragon King hops in as well.
RayoMid actually gets hit because he steps into place where the Thor was getting targeted instead, so he's forced to use those speeds. GunTeR at least gets some value out of the Palau, not able to find any sort of return kill, but just Lion still consistently getting bullied under his tower. He can't really make the impact that an early game Ullr is expected of.
And he's stuck inside the whirlpool. Kuroneko blink into the no escape, pulls just Lion in, and there certainly is no path out. He ends up drowning under all the pressure there from the Poseidon. Raidunw tries to rotate in, but he's going to end up catching JhoX, stuck in the whirlpool, transforms into the Ares, and that does let him pull in JhoX for a return kill.
Oh, the Kraken as well, not doing enough damage to Raidunw as he's still into the Ares.
What?
GunTeR Warrior for another cleanup. Great rotation.
Wow, that Ares transformation was absolutely the play. Up, down from Dragon King, but there's a title surge waiting, so he ends up paying for that one, and now suddenly OhMyJhox is in a scrap. He gets stunned, and GunTeR Warrior finds one of his own. It's a bloodbath here on the left side of the map.
Great rotation from Steven. Not expecting that solo lane rotation 9 minutes in, but the timing couldn't be more perfect. Finishing off that Jade Emperor's crown. There was no potential for that physical damage follow-up, and now Jose trying to see what he can do, but that fight's already long gone.
Well, maybe he can get red. He just used the Lawbringer in onto the red buff, and it's really only GunTeR Warrior around to try and prevent that one from happening. It looks like GunTeR somehow defended the red buff and all that too. That's huge for him to have dropped that on the order side.
Dots are pretty good, I guess, compared to the burst damage, even though you wouldn't think that to be the case.
Right.
But Jose not able to make the impact there, whereas Steven certainly did. Helps alleviate a lot of pressure in this long lane, but just now hitting level 11 because of that rotation to Steven sacrifices a little bit of experience in the process.
It does end up hurting him just a bit. But as you said, it was much needed for just Lion, who's been under constant siege on this left-hand side of the map just so far. And I don't just mean OhMyJhox. I mean, Kuroneko has been over here a lot. So is JhoX, even RayoMid making rotations over to this left-hand side. If they're going to be looking for just Lion this more, either come over here with greater numbers or maybe even look for a play and right.
And unfortunately for OCG is they don't have the vision to keep up with MV3. They actually just now counter-warded where that purple buff is, so they know that MV3 used to have that vision.
MV3 have the gold 3 below half already, but Dragon King, GunTeR Warrior are nearby. This won't be going down for free. In fact, GunTeR Warrior just goes for a RayoMid in the backline, finds a nice kill, takes to the Palau. It gets hit by the Kraken on the way up, but Kuroneko is going to take all the damage to the Palau anyway. GunTeR Warrior finds 2.
Oh, the stun from the backside, not enough to buy OhMyJhox enough time, and JhoX is now on the retreat. A very frisky call for MV3 to start that objective when they really didn't have an advantage. There was no player advantage, no tower pushing advantage there, and MV3 has been kind of the victim of that throughout the whole entirety of phase number 2, which is why they are currently 3-8 in the standings. They're a talented team, mind you. It's not like they can't make plays. We've seen it so far. That's why they have even 7 kills to their name this part of the game. But when you're looking at objectives, it's a different kind of game as opposed to getting kills.
Yeah, that's just a weird defense as well. I mean, a lot of the times you'll see them try and like force them off the objective or force resets, but GunTeR Warrior just kind of made the call to go for the damage dealers directly. Solos RayoMid way in the back, even with the Kraken coming through, lives through that, gets good Palau damage on the Kuroneko, and really, really punishes MV3. I don't think they were ready for that kind of defense.
No, they definitely weren't. They were expecting it to get low enough that the Kraken can finish it off, that they would disengage in its clean entirety, but slightly miscalculated, but at least they went for the call as a group and as a unit. You know, you live with a team and you die with a team, and there, I kind of respect that MV3 at least committed together.
Just ends up hurting him in that one regard. We talked about how Dragon King was behind earlier in the game, and now you're starting to see that really materialize. The Gauntlet of Thebes is about 23 stacks in favor of Kuroneko, even a little bit more as he just completes that wave there in mid. You can kind of see where Dragon King is behind experience-wise and in terms of the build.
That's 4 entire waves worth of stacks, so 2 minutes time for Dragon King to be able to get that and catch up in the stacking department.
Raidunw wants to start things off, though. OhMyJhox is already low. Raidunw transforms into the Ares again and actually gets a pull-off. Isn't enough to kill OhMyJhox, though, as Dragon King is locked down. It's Kuroneko that finds one, but GunTeR Warrior is able to find RayoMid yet again. They need something to keep this Poseidon alive.
Oh, but GunTeR Warrior is dangerously low. I don't think he was spotted by Jox on the retreat. He went the wrong direction.
It's a lot of damage from Just Lion. Not quite enough for the kill and avoids the chain. What happened to that early game lead for OhMyJhox? It's all Just Lion now all of a sudden.
Yeah, this rotation is coming really well timed by Raiden and GunTeR Warrior. Just Lion now has that poke potential and the clean disengage without the Anvil of Dawn from Jox. It's just Lion's turn to freely be this aggressive.
That's right, and Beast doesn't have his ultimate either. That's something GunTeR Warrior might be able to let him know because Beast used it to get away from that Palau. And if Just Lion is aware, that might be why he's playing aggressive. But now that Kuroneko's here, maybe rethink it. Nope, Just Lion's right at the tower line anyway, putting in damage.
It's not just the Hachiman and the Thor ultimate that's on, it's also the Ares, so there's no real threat. And even if the Ares ultimate was up, Just Lion still has the purification beats to be this aggressive. And with that tier 1 tower that low on the left side, you know Just Lion's eyes are like bulging and he wants that 500 gold for his team.
They're going to come over to Gold Fury first and start this one up, and it looks like MV3 are starting to realize GunTeR Warrior should be able to intercept, and he does slow down the path from Jox. It's mostly going to be on Beast to find a way to get in there. The Heavenly Banner is waiting, but it doesn't get there in time. OutCold secure the first Gold Fury of the game.
Well timed and executed from OCG, and this is the difference between the team that has objective control versus a team that just doesn't, that's just so close, like MV3.
Yeah, GunTeR Warrior just ran away from explosions like Domino from Deadpool 2, man. That was pretty nuts, the way he was able to weave out of there, jukes away the Lawbringer, blinks away from the Thor dunk, and is able to escape in the middle lane after zoning him off the Gold Fury to set up for the team.
I mean, you know what they say, right? Like, cool guys just don't look at explosions.
That's right, man. GunTeR Warrior's pretty cool.
If there's anything I learned about, like, Lethal Weapon and, like, Die Hard and all that, it's like, they just never look at the explosions for whatever reason.
Bother them either. That's very loud and sudden near you. It should affect you in some way, but they're too cool for that.
Yeah, they don't have the time. They can't be bothered about that.
Don't worry about such things as Steven looks to get involved. He's had a relatively quiet game except for that one rotation earlier, but now Steven's going to get pulled, so he just walks in to shorten the distance. The wall there to try and punish him maximum. Even Jose rotates in too for a push, but Steven's somehow still alive. Raiden doesn't find anything with that transformation. RayoMid gets one, Jose finds the second, and OutCold punished.
GunTeR a little too frisky there. Great Kraken placement from RayoMid, saving his support and killing the enemy jungler. And as a result, MV3, despite losing that Gold Fury, I think are out on top in the experience after that 3-for-0.
And they're going to grab the Pyromancer here as well. Doesn't look like anyone's going to be able to get in position to punish that. That was just, it felt like too aggressive there from Steven around that tower line. I mean, he hadn't been in many of these fights yet, so maybe he wasn't quite in full I'm against an Ares mode, but he got punished for it there.
He definitely did, and that's the one problem with the Artio is that there is no CC immunity. You can get juggled quite heavily there. There's an Ares that's going to pull you. A tier, yes, like you could stop the tier Fearless with your own cripple, but if you don't have that aura active, you're going to get juggled like a ragdoll. Thor's going to stun you, OhMyJhox can follow up, and you're going to get crippled by the Whirlpool to prevent your own escape.
And it looks like they recognize that Steven has beads, it looks like, in that second slot. They just weren't available for him to avoid the pull underneath the tier 1 tower, and he gets stuck under there, taking way more shots than I imagined he bargained for, and instead ends up taking an early spill that didn't necessarily have to happen.
Back and forth game between these two teams. It's definitely what you expect in week number 13, where there's really nothing on the line in terms of making high-res expo, but both of these teams really want to just kind of throw some fireworks into the sky and just go, ooh, ah.
They're having some fun here, it feels like, towards the end. The gloves are off, so to speak, as you can kind of play a little bit more relaxed than you might normally play. I'm sure both these teams still want to come out and win and prove they're better than the other, but you don't have to be quite as as locked in perhaps as normally. It can get draining, man. It's been a whole season where these teams have been fighting hard. OutCold fought all the way up until they couldn't make it anymore to try and make it, as did MV3. They all wanted to be the PS4E representatives. And unfortunately for them, Aerial Arise were a bit better.
Oh, Steven gonna eat that Kraken right in the middle, trying to heal to his heart's content, but he's against 4 members out of MV3.
Yeah, and don't get confused or anything. Steven is on the wrong side of the map there, being aggressive, but that opens up the door for the rest of his team to find the tier 1 in mid at the very least, which they do. But just lying under siege a bit and left.
Yeah, very scrappy are these two teams, and historically they've been very scrappy against one another in their past games as well. Week number 3, OutCold Gaming won that one 2-1. Week 6, OCG 2-0. But then week number 9 happened, and then MV3 came out of nowhere, 2-0ing the likes of OCG. So a good turnaround play, as we clearly see there's a lot of potential from this Chaos side.
I would say that I agree, man. MV3 are an easy team to overlook here in PS4 EU, but we've seen strong teams get punished for it in the past, so they can do so no longer. A Heartseeker now for Jox, along with this Jotun's Wrath. This Thor is just looking to hurt. Whoever he ends up landing on is going to feel it, and certainly it could be just Lion or GunTeR Warrior or Raiden. They're going to have to make sure they absolutely watch out for this Thor going forward, because he's going to have plenty of damage.
Now, the Heartseeker, I think, is a little bit too early to really accelerate past the 200 physical power mark, but just the base 3% damage alone is good enough, because he has 20% CDR with the Jotun's Wrath, so he can really proc that hammer quite heavily, especially with the Anvil of Dawn and how you proc a Chain Lightning. So that Chain Lightning effect procs the Heartseeker as well. So you're getting about the Anvil of Dawn, the Chain Lightning, the Hammer, and the Berserker Barrage. 12% of target's maximum health with just your rotation of abilities.
Not bad at all, Liz. Just Lion has the beads forced by Jose, and that changes things so much for an Ullr. He has so little other CC immunity exactly like this, and he's dead. And that's going to happen for the next 137 seconds, man. Ullr, without beads, a bit of a sitting duck. MV3 pulling the Fury. Though this didn't exactly work for them last time, looks like they should be able to get Oni uncontested.
Now there's more reason and merit to go for this goal here, right? This time 5-on-4.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about Ullr to steal it from a distance as well with a hail of arrows. You have your own Kraken just in case there was a contest. And now, kind of MV3 going to flex towards mid.
Looks like that's going to be the play for them. They still have not just a 5v4, but even when Just Lion does show up, basically guaranteed that all your CC is going to be good on him. So I think MV3 are right to play around that and be aggressive right now. They're going to send 3 members over to the left, and they should be able to force this tier 1 down before anyone gets there if they can make it into range.
It looks like it, especially with the zoning from OhMyJhox between that tier 1, tier 2 tower. Gets spotted out as well. Raidunw trying to look for a play. Has to respect Jose on the backside, though.
He's getting collapsed on. That's why Jox took to the sky. Hasn't been able to find himself a good Anvil of Dawn target. Instead, Raiden responds by putting the pal out into multiple people. Lawbringer comes out from Jose, said he can keep going. He pulls Steven back into the thick of things, but that's where Artio likes to be. Now there's a cripple field in the middle of the fight. Mountain Archery comes out for more damage too. Meanwhile, Just Lion gets a solo Kraken, and he's jumping in aggressive.
Yeah, but he Aegis it, and he's still trying to fight that 1v1. Now it's going to be a
Almost.
1v2. Still finds the last hit in his dying breath.
Is able to make that a turnaround, a 1-for-1 charade. In comes Dragon King. He sees a bunch of low members of MV3, but Jose blinks forward, can't quite find the pull there either. And instead it'll be Kuroneko who can't find any pulls there either. How does everyone have so much immunity?
But he finds the chains. He's trying to get the dots damage. Chicken GunTeR Warrior hightails it out of there. Steven going to get juggled as well. Everyone is on their last dying breath. Jose trying to escape from the clutches of the bear.
Wow, Jose started that fight with a Lawbringer as well when the Palau came out, so that he had another one just goes to show how much CDR he's got here at this point. Breastplate, Genjis, and Blackthorn not hurting him. But what a fight, man. That was a tightrope walk. Way more people should have died there.
Oh, I definitely agree with you, but there's also a lot of sustain in a lot of these characters. The Artio, the tier as well. So you have to respect the fact that these soul leaders aren't dying anytime soon. There's a lot of escapability for Dragon King between his ultimate, his overhead kick. RayoMid narrowly dies there, despite finding the kill onto Just Lion. Great rotation from him from the fountain, flanking as well. That was the important area of entry, that he went towards the lane, he found the flank, and he ate a solo Kraken instead of the team eating the Kraken instead.
Yeah.
So he was able to negate that fully with the Aegis.
That's a great point, man. I mean, with all those health bars that low, RayoMid could have easily cleaned up a multi-kill in that last fight, but instead drops on Just Lion and doesn't even find what he's looking for there. As MV3 do grab the Pyromancer, One thing to note is that somehow in all that, OhMyJhox Beast didn't have to use beads, so he'll be even safer if they start another fight here soon.
Making the grand entry with the Lawbreaker, but kind of also revealing your hand too early. Steven will die here, but it will take a long time.
Yeah, Steven now knows that Jose is the law, whether or not that had any particular impact on that gank. RayoMid finally cleans up the kill, and the rest of OutCold, without their solo laner, rotate over to start defending fire, but Raidunw's going in aggressively. He finds OhMyJhox Beast. There are those beads I mentioned as Raidunw takes to the sky with the pal out.
Oh, should be able to find a kill on OhMyJhox Beast, and even trying to go into RayoMid, forcing out that early Kraken in round 2 on the pal out.
They're heading right to the back line. Here comes the dive in from DragonKing as well with the Mystic Rush, but it doesn't do much damage. They do manage to find GunTeR Warrior to make it 2 for 1, and the back line could not punish the Poseidon. They don't have enough damage. Raidunw couldn't get it done, and suddenly JhoX is showing the show. He drops a wall that locks Raidunw off. Aegis buys him a moment, but that Morrigan ends up dying in.
Oh, and there's that knockup that Tier received just recently. DragonKing gonna get juggled as well. Just Lion sees RayoMid, and he has blood in his eyes.
Over the wall goes Jose. Once Just Lion, they trust that DragonKing's gonna die to Kuroneko, but DragonKing still standing for now. Just Lion jumps to join him, and now DragonKing should finally end up.
Ooh.
No, he gets the blink off. DragonKing's out of there.
And he did it. He missed his basic attack and his Prada onslaught.
And that's how he was able to blink.
That was such a fortunate miss. Kind of an intimidation tactic, you know, like you're kind of hitting the air next to you, like, I'm not touching you, but you're actually trying to. But either way, a clean disengage. OutCold Gaming, though, wanted to keep forcing that fight after losing Steven. Kind of a surprise tactic, really expecting that the stealth Morrigan out of Raidunw would have forced the beast, which it did, onto OhMyJhox Beast, but it wasn't just enough to only find the Hachiman. At this point, you need way more than just that, and this kind of team fight is so risky because of its location. It's right behind Fire Giant. If you lose that fight, that you're taking 4-on-5, you're losing Fire Giant, you're probably losing some Phoenixes on top of it.
And I just don't know that DragonKing's doing enough on this Ravana. It's not doing the Ravana jobs of being able to kill a target. They could not get back there and finish off RayoMid in the end of that last fight. And I don't know that it's doing enough peeling for the team either, because Just Lion is constantly under siege this game on the Ullr. It just feels like he's in this weird in-between spot where he's not doing enough of either.
Now, the thing about Ravana that we don't see very often is Just Lion casually jumps in without any vision. Now he's going to be in a 1v2 against JhoX and this Tier.
Wow, he does have another leap available. Look at all that CDR. Maybe that's why he's been so cavalier with his abilities. But he'll be hunted down by JhoX. Another leap, and he's out of range.
Oh my goodness. When's the last time we saw a transcendence into Jotun's Wrath, Ullr? It's been a hot minute.
Yeah.
Normally you go into the Crusher first, and then maybe Asi because you don't have lifesteal, but my man's is full ability focus, and honestly, that 20% CDR is the only reason he got out of that sticky situation.
Some trouble for DragonKing, yet again left-hand side. He does survive the damage, but gets pulled back in by the no escape. GunTeR Warrior biding his time with the powwow, but isn't able to find any pull, so he'll have to settle for the CC immunity. Is MV3 continuing to surge, though OhMyJhox Beast is low.
They're slowly zoning and pushing OCG past their tower line, but with the Fury already down, there's nothing left to acquire on the left side of the map.
Now it's Raidunw's turn to transform into the Dodgy and start up a powwow. Looks like they are going to be able to pull in Kuroneko at the very least, but Jose, undeterred, is still aggressing. Kuroneko comes in as well for chains, but doesn't find much there. A lot of fighting on this left-hand side, but Fury's already down. No Pyromancer to go get either.
Steven could be in a little bit of trouble, though, if he's not too careful. Does have the cripple field, so he's not going to get Fearless into a bad spot, but all 5 MV3 members are feeling confident to barrel down the mid lane.
So this must be a tier 2 push. They're going to push Steven back into the whirlpool. JhoX comes right towards Raidunw with the Anvil of Dawn. That forces out the beads from the Morrigan. Hammer comes through, and Aegis immunes the hammer damage with the full-on surge of MV3, but Jose takes the tower too long. He ends up falling to GunTeR Warrior's damage.
Still going to go a little bit forward as GunTeR Warrior takes out a second MV3 member, and this is a 4-on-5 fight because all the meanwhile, Just Lion split pushing on the left.
Wow, that's how the game has gone for the most part up until now, is that Just Lion's been pushed out of things early, but this time it's by design, and they're not going to let anyone back to try and stop this. OhMyJhox Beast is in mid, and GunTeR Warrior can't prevent the back, so that should be there in time to stop this Phoenix, but maybe not. He's shredding it.
And I think even mounted archery was used to try to get there a little bit closer. Still not in time. I don't think Just Lion wants to force the issue on the left side, but he's going to have to worry about an Ares cutting off his escape.
Well, it's like you said, Just Lion has Crusher and Jotun's Wrath. He has a ton of pin. If minions are there with him inside the Phoenix range, he is going to shred through it, especially with that second ability in bow stance.
Should have the jump up available, but he's still crippled just temporarily. No one coming else to kill Just Lion, and it's OutCold Gaming that could have forced that Fire Giant, honestly, instead of going for this Pyromancer. They knew where two members were. They knew that two of the other ones were dead, so all they had to worry about was RayoMid. If there was somebody zoning him out, OCG had a clean FG.
But instead, they settled for the Pyromancer, but that was MV3 overstepping on that mid push.
Yeah.
I mean, they committed a good bit to Steven at the front of the tower line, didn't get him, and then they tried to come in with the ultimate or the tier 2, and they couldn't find enough. OutCold defended a 4v5 and get a tier 2.
They forced a lot of beats. Raiden had to use beats from the Thor ultimate. Steven had to use beats from the cripple out of the Whirlpool, but it still wasn't enough, because I don't think Kuroneko was in position to get off the great no escape after those beats were down. I don't think he had the cooldown timing of it. And on top of that, I think that the composition from MV3 has great poke potential. They didn't have to full-on commit when you have a Poseidon and a Thor that can easily synergize off of one another, and then also a Hachiman to continue that poke with the Eagle's Eye.
MV3 now posturing around the Fire Giant here, totally, and OutCold have most of their members local to make their defense, but no huge advantage in any one direction, except maybe those beads, like you mentioned from that last fight. They should be able to grab them, but it's only in the next 15 seconds. If they don't start something soon, they'll lose the advantage, and Kuroneko, I think, was put in combat. He doesn't get the blink and no escape he was looking for. Instead, now he's forced to disengage. Jox takes to the sky to look for an Anvil of Dawn target, and there are some grouped up members, and he settles for Steven and Dragon King, and Just Lion gets a kill.
The Lawbringer on the backside looking for Just Lion as well. That doesn't have the beats, but the wall intercepts that Fearless, and now the frenzy being popped by MV3.
GunTeR Warrior has another big fight as a surrender vote being started now by MV3. They've lost RayoMid and OhMyJhox. Steven found his way to Jox. They've lost all the damage dealers now, so it should be a pretty clean fight from OutCold. From here, Jose trying his best to sustain, but the damage is going to keep on coming.
And no one dead yet from OCG. They're going to continue this chase just handily. Jose juggles Just Lion, but he's still very safe and confident with two other supporting members.
They need to lock him down and stay out of range from the sustain from Jose, and that's just a hard line to walk. He finds even more healing with all the CDR, finds another dash, finds a three-man Fearless into a Lawbringer for the disengage, and Just Lion has to use Aegis and retreat. The tier holds on.
He's out, and Kuroneko is semi-taunting there by using that back animation. He will lose his life in the process, but that amount of time invested to just find the one kill. The other two members, Jox and RayoMid, should respawn in time to defend their Phoenixes, or maybe to defend the Fire Giant.
And I think that if OutCold thought, you know, we don't need anti-heal, well, they know now, right? They just have the Brawler's beat stick from GunTeR Warrior, who's 13-3-1. And aside from that, not much else stopping Jose from just sustaining through fights like that over and over again.
Yeah, there's no Cursed Ankh, there's one Brawler's speed stick, no Divine Ruin yet from Raiden as well. And it's kind of hard to fit that into your build as a Morrigan in general when Doom Orb is so popular, right? You're looking for that movement speed. You definitely want as much burst potential as possible. Even going for a Messenger's Mask to look like for additional movement speed.
Well, Fire Giant started up by OutCold. Raiden gets some good damage onto Jose. And Steven's there to try and lock him down as well, but it looks like the Fire Giant DPS has slowed. Just Lion's off this objective. It's just Dragon King that's holding it, as now Jox has taken to the sky. He comes right for GunTeR Warrior and finds him. Steven, though, responds by finally bringing down the tier. Jox makes his way to the hammer, but the Hail of Arrows waits for him. It's 2-for-1 in favor of OutCold.
OutCold Gaming is still going to push a little bit more. RayoMid forced to use the Purification Beats. There goes the Raven support, looking for the chase.
It's just not that intimidating if you're RayoMid. Kuroneko can find a big no escape. Is managed to pull in one, but Raiden cuts him down the backside. 3-for-1 now in favor of OutCold. OhMyJhox at the very least is able to find Steven, but you're right, that's his dash. But Dragon King is no threat. Raiden is no threat as well. OhMyJhox is standing against everyone, but Just Lion is a threat. He cuts him down with a bladed arrow.
Just Lion with another great flank. I don't think there was any sort of knowledge to where his location was. He was shooting at a ghost in front of him instead of looking behind. You got to turn on your headphones for that one.
Just did not quite understand where Just Lion was. That's still great work, though, from OhMyJhox That goes from a fight where OutCold could take a Phoenix and maybe more into just a fight where OutCold now are floundering around looking for what stuff they can get off the map. MV3 should be thanking Beast for keeping him in this one. Yeah,
OhMyJhox had like 3 different ideas during that fire giant at the very beginning. We saw Raidunw use his ultimate, trying to transform into the Powwow, dodgy for the Powwow. He misses all of his targets, unfortunately, and then the left side, GunTeR Warrior was zoning away Jose, I believe, which is weird because he's kind of a tier. You don't really do that against him.
Yeah.
And then he died right away towards that global pressure. Jhox cleaned him up from all the return damage GunTeR absorbed.
But the thing is, you got to keep asking yourself, who can do any proper zoning? And this is why I keep coming back to Dragon King, and I feel like this pick not quite doing enough. I mean, aside from the root that he's able to put out, I mean, he doesn't have that many helpful tools in that fight.
No, he doesn't. His whole idea is like, put so much pressure onto RayoMid that you force him to use a solo Kraken and you avoid it with your overhead kick or your Mystic Rush, and then the rest of your teammates don't have to worry about that. A huge ability for the rest of the fight.
Jose has to use the Lawbringer to get away from the cripple field. The Powwow chains can't reach either as they both go into the ultimate to celebrate not being able to find Jose on the right-hand side. zzKuroneko finds a pull into Just Lion. I bet he's wishing that he had some backup from a Morrigan ultimate right now, but it was used on the right side, and RayoMid takes the kill.
Just Lion a little bit too far for his own good. Jhox now going into the sky, looking for some more stragglers.
So he'll have to settle for Dragon King on the left because Raidunw stealthed and was able to disengage. In comes the rest of MV3, forcing the Mystic Rush defensively, but they've only lost Just Lion up until this point. OutCold can still defend.
I think this should be a 5-on-4 advantage to get this Fire Giant now without Just Lion. MV3 feeling confident to at least start it up. They see Steven around the corner, but they have to watch out for Dragon King and Raidunw.
Wow, a dash in from OhMyJhox aggressively. He still gets off the mounted archery and is able to disengage, turn around for some more damage. He'll help clear the kill on the Dragon King, but Raidunw punishes him on the backside. Jhox is low as well. What a call from OhMyJhox to dash in. That cost them this fight.
Yeah, he had no idea there was a stealth Morrigan right beside that one Robin. So now it's going to be RayoMid in a lot of trouble as Jose at least cleans up GunTeR.
Steven tries to lock him down, is able to find that ranged root, and that's enough to get the kill onto RayoMid. Somehow, this turns into a 3v2, still favoring OutCold. All because I think of that first initial kill, but they're going to keep trying to trade some blows in the backside, but Raidunw repositions.
All it's going to take is one good Fearless onto Raidunw to get this one kill. Kuroneko a little bit too far to follow up. Just Lion, meanwhile, respawned that whole entire time, and he's going to make this rotation now.
Just Lion pushes up mid. He should be able to get this tier 2 in mid if no one comes to contest him, but he doesn't have the benefit of that global view that we do, so he'll just come back instead. And MV3 squander an opportunity where not only was Just Lion dead, but Raidunw's ultimate was down, GunTeR Warrior's ultimate was down in the 5v4, and they couldn't make anything happen.
It's an absolute bloodbath now with 47 kills in 35 minutes. There was almost a surrender vote from MV3 because they themselves thought that they were about to get decided cleanly until the tanky targets, the Bash brothers of this tier Ares, are just too hard to kill out of OutCold Gaming because of how squishy their backline are. They're too far forward as Just Lion sometimes, as Raidunw also far forward on this Morrigan, but he has merit to do so. He's a Morrigan that's looking to get stealth, to get closer, to set up his teammates with a beautiful stun.
Yeah, they have a lot of backline, but they also don't have any easily applied CC to try and lock down Jose, which they would desperately need if they wanted to burst him down quickly. I mean, what's their longest range crowd control? It's the Powwow, I guess?
Yeah, that's got to be it, right? Like, that's the only way you make your bread at this point in the game. Like, if you could force the beats earlier from, like, maybe Steven's Artio Druid form route, that's a good way to really allow Raidunw or GunTeR Warrior to either go into Powwow, or maybe start having, like, Raidunw just keep looking for those stuns the way he has been.
OhMyJhox is in some trouble. He's right in the thick of it. Jhox ticks to the sky. Raidunw, meanwhile, has already transformed. He transformed to the Powwow. RayoMid low in the background, and GunTeR Warrior is able to find that kill. Meanwhile, an up-down in the throes of it as Dragon King gets one more. Jose finally low as well. Just Lion can't find the leap, and Jose blinks out of there. Somehow, this tier continues to live.
But I can't say the same about Kuroneko on the Ares. He does get the chains off for the extra mobility, but it's still not enough. And Just Lion just won't let it go either. Still chasing the whole time. Cue up the Benny Hill music for that one.
Well, JhoX and Jose can defend here. I don't know if this is free, especially with Just Lion. Their best damage on these Phoenix is far away. Minions are in, though, so backdoor protections are down. And Jose goes right to control Steven. Raidunw tries to make his way in as well. But the tier competently dives right to the back line. Only a little bit of peel coming out from Steven, but someone's got to keep Raidunw alive here.
Oh, the Lawbringer just not having the range necessary. Raidunw still trying to retreat after that one. Meanwhile, right side Phoenix does go down. Just Lion left unchecked in the middle lane, but without much mana, I don't know if he can get out of this one.
He does have just enough for the leap, and that gets him away. So at the very least, OutCold find one Phoenix in that entire push. And I don't know, man, Just Lion chasing for that kill instead of being with the team, I feel like they probably could have done more.
They definitely could have. It's kind of one of those instances where you're expecting a certain play to unfold, and it just doesn't go your way. Like, you're expecting your teammates to kill the enemy opposition while you at least kill the tier.
Right.
Now, if they kill everyone else besides the tier, you stop the tier from backing, then you can maybe get the Phoenix and then get the game. The respawn timers are very long, so you don't necessarily need the Ullr for those pushes, but because the rest of MV3 survives, Just Lion's rotation and chase down was just not worth the time.
Raidunw trying to end this game himself now, as not going to be able to find the pull off the back end of that one while he's in the mounted archery. Jose uses the Lawbringer up down, looking for Raidunw, who's still inside this dodgy transformation, now back to the Morrigan, and they finally have a good chance to try and lock down this tier. Up and over goes Dragon King, but can't find the slow. Jose can't find the heal either, but the axe is off the mark. No escape. Should pull one for Kuroneko, but Jose squirms away yet again.
3 chains all onto Steven as he's trying to make it closer and closer. Jose barely surviving that one. Keep in mind the right side is going to start having some fire minions, making it a little easier for OCG to take these fights, especially with no towers for MV3 to retreat under.
MV3, though, still confidently battling on this right-hand side. OutCold now have finally one of the first real leads here of this game with that right side Phoenix down and being able to push through, but can they turn that into this right side fire giant? They're going to give it a go. All 5 members of each team should be able to be here, and most relics available. No beads for Jose, though, as this fight kicks off.
He's setting up a trap, avoiding the Kraken. Beautiful Aegis from Just Lion that gets juggled and jumps away. Now it's JhoX looking for a target.
He finds a 2-man stun. GunTeR Warrior takes to the sky, and it's Dragon King who's low. He drowns underneath the whirlpool. GunTeR Warrior finds one of his own to make it 1-for-1. OhMyJhox Beast still has his Aegis available as he's stuck in the thick of it, but repositions, puts his back to the lane, and he's able to still find some shots as Raidunw gets one, Just Lion a second, and suddenly it's a 3-for-1.
Yeah, I think this time this should be the last nail in the coffin. JhoX without a hammer, without a life. Kuroneko gonna get stunned as well by Raidunw.
And finds the stun. Raidunw gets the full-on deicide, and finally OutCold have a chance to close this game out. It took 40 minutes here in this game for a victor to be decided, but game 1 goes the way of OutCold Gaming, and what a bloodbath it ended up being. 58 kills in this in 40 minutes of play, and they're still struggling. We made it seem like this was all over, but Steven should be able to tank enough at this point, or maybe not.
The minions maybe as well by Just Lion. He is life-stealing off of it.
No! Totally, they couldn't.
No, they got it. They got it.
They're bringing in more minions. Okay,
they got the cavalry here, Finch.
They can bring it on in. That was scary though for a minute.
There
can be no true despair without hope, as Bane so aptly put it. And OutCold are the ones who grab the game.
That was a good line. I like that one.
Yeah, it is really good.
It took guerrilla warfare tactics by both of these teams, honestly. But the Morrigan and the Ullr very aggressive. I like the way they played it towards that mid to late game. Struggled a little bit early, Just Lion on that long lane side until some rotations from the Morrigan helped alleviate that pressure.
You're right, though. I mean, it was just a scrappy match here this time. And it felt like at different points in the match, both teams just kind of had individual players that I'm making sure we win this game. GunTeR Warrior was on fire throughout most of this game, but then towards the end of it, it felt like Raidunw picked up the baton. He found some individual picks that put them in a good spot to be able to grab these games as well. A lot of individual skill on display in this match.
Definitely, as well as the Aegis timings from Just Lion. That last one to absorb the Kraken and the Fearless. If he doesn't get that Aegis off at the nick of time, he's going to get Fearless into a Kraken.
Well, we got 58 kills there in game 1, so no telling what's in store for game number 2. We'll have that for you on the other side of this break.
Alienware, the official PC provider of the SMITE console league.
It was an absolute bloodbath in game number 1 between these two teams, so I have to imagine game 2 will be more of the same, even with a chance for a game 3 on the horizon as well. So I couldn't imagine you wanting to go anywhere. My name is Finch. I'm joined by Anatoly Alexeyev right here next to me. And Toly, what was your big takeaway from game number 2? Because mine was that tier is unkillable, apparently, if you don't draft some CC.
Well, not just the tier, but also the areas on top of it.
Yeah,
the tier passive, like you can't get CC for more than a second, and then you get bolster defenses to give you more CCR.
Yeah.
That was another reason why it was so difficult to lock down the tier. It wasn't just the sustain from his power cleave or his own passive. It was that another annoying fact from the Ares.
Those two together made for a pretty unkillable frontline and caused quite a bit of problems for OutCold. We're talking about them, though, as if they were the ones that wanted. It was OutCold, despite all that eventually were able to find a kill. And that was the only fight, that last fight, where they got not an easy kill, but an early kill into Jose. And I think that did change the fights a lot for them. If I'm on the side of MV3, I think I'm fine with taking another tier.
I think so too, honestly. I'm not too worried necessarily about all the cripple. I think that it was just more about the other members around them. Like the Hunters were feeling a little frisky the one time when OhMyJhox dashes in aggressively versus just Line, and also Raiden not expecting that stealth Morrigan really cost him and his teammates around that fire giant.
Well, GunTeR Warrior had a monster performance for OutCold last time, so it looks like MV3 planned to change that by banning away the Dodgy this time. No way he'll get to play that. MV3 also take the Ullr away from Just Lion. They'll make them all do it on something different, but the Thor gonna come out one more time here for OutCold, along with the tier on the OutCold side.
So taking the double T's in that time, I think that the Thor global pressure was a good look for MV3 last game, and they really needed to find a way to get some global pressure for themselves. You mentioned that the Thanatos is great nowadays because of the no assassins blessing. You don't need that penetrate, or the mana rather, from the sustain of that, and on top of that, you're trying to kill these pesky supports, but Thor provides a little bit of pressure as well from his passive.
You're right, Thor can certainly scrap early in those little cluster fights, so don't be surprised if we see Thor in some of those. Meanwhile, Morrigan and King Arthur come through for MV3. Raidunw played this Morrigan. Well, there were some questionable transformations, I might say, into the Ares, but once the switch over to the Dodgy started happening, I think things looked a lot better. No surprise to see MV3 winning the Morrigan this time.
Very important get pick as well, or get ban rather, because you don't want to have anything cleansing from your tier fearless when you're going in. Once Thor is going to commit his all-in combo as well, but Capri's still available if MV3 want to go for it.
Man, this is a pretty potent draft from OutCold, the Thor, the tier, and the Merlin. Only question mark for me is this Artio. I'm not particularly a huge fan of it right now, and I thought maybe they were top picking it into the tier matchup, but they have tier themselves, so clearly OutCold just favoring the Artio.
Where is the Hobwa going is where I'm going to ask this question. It looks like it might be going into the jungle role with Ullr and Morrigan already locked in. King Arthur obviously in the solo lane. Kumbhakarna could flex there, but I think that's going to go support.
Man, if this is like a Khepri in there for OutCold, I think they have one of the best drafts you could ask for right now. Really, this is a pretty good draft, but instead it's this Artio. I mean, certainly it can work for them, so I don't hate it too much, but not up at the very tip top of the list of my Guardians.
Against an Ullr that has no CC immunity naturally in his kit, I like the Artio actually. You got the cripple, the root, the stun as well. 3 different kinds of CC to really lock down OhMyJhox. If you beat one of those 3 abilities, then you got GunTeR on the Thor stun wall from a distance, an Anvil of Dawn even further away, Fatality Fire probably going to go blink at level 12, and the Lawbringer you got to worry about. OhMyJhox has to watch out in this mid to late game.
I talked a lot about how much I liked OutCold's draft, but MV3's draft is really good too. As long as this Hobwa for Jox can pan out. There were a lot of Anvil of Dawns in Game 1 that were off the mark from what I was seeing. He has to clean that up here with this Hobwa and make sure he's really picking his spots well. Sometimes I think he can get paralyzed looking for the perfect crushing wave. Instead, you have to settle, I think, for good ones instead of perfect, and that's where that Hobwa really crosses a threshold.
And instead of having to worry about the global pressure, you also have that Atlas to the Yellow River for mobility, not just yourself, but your teammates.
Yeah. It's
very similar to the Giannis thresholds for repositioning purposes. So I still like the utility aspect that Jox can provide for his teammates, even if he doesn't get super ahead.
That's right. He should still be able to have a decent impact here in this game. It looks like we do have a quick issue we're working on here on our end. Don't worry about it out there, folks. Should be able to get you back into the game in no time. But the Hobwa is just kind of one thread to look at. I do think the rest of this MV3 draft that they got for themselves can be pretty potent, It's just that OutCold, man, I don't know, when they're playing well, when they've got a draft this good, they can be hard to shut down.
I mean, there's just so much damage, right? Ullr, Morrigan, Habwa, King Arthur, and then Kumbhakarna. One epic uppercut, even on a tanky target, let's say they get Dragon King on this Artio.
Sure.
Might get blown up, honestly, like the water spout into the crushing wave.
You know, I complained about this Artio for Dragon King, but it's not a Raven, so I like it a lot more. Actually, you know what, Tully? I'm now 100% sold on this as the support pick for them, because it's not Raven support, which I do not like.
Yeah, there's definitely more utility that an Artio can provide in that support position as opposed to a Raven. But it made sense in the last game because you were against the Poseidon.
Right.
So if you're looking to survive against the Poseidon, Raven's one of your best go-to picks, which is why when the meta of Poseidon mid was a thing, there was a lot of jungle Raven trying to mitigate that potential. But the way they build jungle Raven is way different than you build support Raven.
Right. Dragon King able to avoid the Kraken. Maybe not a whole lot else last time. We'll see if the Artio looks better for him as choose a focus rush for Raidunw as opposed to RayoMid, who goes with the Mage's Blessing start. And we don't see as much Morrigan mid anymore. I feel like she's in the long lane a lot. Is this the start you like for Morrigan mid, or do you want to see the cooldown into do more as soon as possible for her?
I don't know, honestly, because like you get a lot of value from the Lost Artifact. You get the MP5 that you really need between both the Lost Artifact and also that Mage's Blessing.
JustLion gets good damage out of the dash. OhMyJhox Beast is low, is even able to find the spray, and there's the solo kill for first blood for JustLion. OutCold on the board there first.
OhMyJhox Beast trying to be aggressive with the Ullr, but it just didn't pan off. His axe was absorbed by an archer as well, so good presence of mind for JustLion to use those small mechanical advantages to be able to get that first blood.
And I don't think that they knew, but OhMyJhox had spent a lot of time just kind of sitting over here on the right-hand side near the wave, waiting for a potential gank opportunity. I don't think JustLion could have had that information, but maybe that's why he's willing to commit the dash there and be really aggressive, is that maybe maybe Fatality Fire had spotted him over there. So it looks like he's back. Not Steven this time. It is Fatality Fire. So maybe they got that information.
Well, so the thing is, you also have to look at the timing window. When the dash occurred, it was around the 230 mark-ish, and your speed buff respawns around 227-ish. So knowing that information, unless somehow Jox gets from the speed buff to your lane in 3 to 10 seconds tops, I think that was a very well-calculated, aggressive dash from JustLion.
And it would certainly explain why Fatality Fire was playing a little bit safer. He hadn't fully committed up to the tower line yet. If he's making the same read that JustLion is, which is that Jox just came off speed, then there's a good chance he's over here on this right-hand side hanging out. And so I think all about OutCold playing around that timer particularly well, as Beast is not letting that first blood slow him down. JustLion can't quite find the Petrify, so uses it on the wave instead.
Hard to really get off a guaranteed Petrify against an Ullr that still has the jump available. You could easily stand switch as soon as you see the animation from it, and then jump away. You even jump aggressively if you want, because you're going to be mid-air by the time that it is set off. OhMyJhox Beast feeling very confident to continue looking for these plays despite him being the one first blooded less than 2 minutes ago.
I think he's going to have to play confident. They both went for a Transcendence rush. The only difference is that JustLion also has a Hunter's Blessing to help out too. So if they're trading right now, it's going to really, really favor out this Medusa. And even still, OhMyJhox Beast has felt confident to step up and take these battles on this Ullr in the early game. You love to see that kind of confidence.
But I'm still expecting OhMyJhox Beast to get off more guaranteed poke if he's accurate with a hail of arrows. You don't have to be close enough for the acid spray alongside your own wave. As Tier versus King Arthur just doing what they do best, kind of hitting each other with pillows. But on the left side, the long lane, they're hitting each other with bricks instead.
I expect we're going to see a lot more of these two in the short lane, and then some Jormungandrs, I imagine, thrown in there too, as he still has a pretty decent matchup into both of these. But expect a lot of big swords and healing and grunting warriors over there on the right-hand side, and not a whole lot of depth.
Yeah, Jox even trying to see if he can make his little stamp of approval on the right side of the map, but you got to respect the global pressure from GunTeR. That's also thinking about making this rotation, and that's going to be good for these two in the long lane if there's going to be that much attention focused on that solo side.
It's going to mean that they can continue to scrap it out over here, really, as they've been happy to do so far. JustLion and Beast continuing the trend from game number 1 of being aggressive. But this is already a much slower paced game. Have you noticed how much it's slowed down?
Oh, yeah.
Instead of the 58 or whatever it was kills they had in game 1, a much more normal picks here.
Beautiful play from Just Lion. Those are the sneaky petrifies you need to do to get the kill.
Beads is assuming that there was going to be an axe stun there from Just Lion to guarantee him the best pathing. And now the first 2 kills of the game have been solo kills for Just Lion as RayoMid goes in aggressively using the Morrigan to transform into the Thor. But looking for Dragon King in the backline, is that the target? Now all of a sudden JhoX has shown up, but he's in Dragon King's clutches. Good stun comes out, but Raidunw finds the first kill of this engagement. JhoX has fallen.
And there's no cleanup as well. And keep in mind, they're fighting this without Just Lion. That could have easily made this rotation after his secondary solo kill, but this is kind of what separates the boys from the men, right? It's like knowing when you should or shouldn't rotate from these team fights. And now level 8 on this Medusa, about 10 to 11 stacks of this Transcendence over OhMyJhox. Even looking for another kill, feeling very confident.
Well, I mean, this is what I was talking about last time, but it was for Raidunw in the early game where I felt like those Morrigan transformations weren't great. This time it's RayoMid on the Morrigan, turns into the Thor, and they're trying to see if they can lock down Dragon King way on the backline by the red buff, but that just didn't quite pan out for them. They couldn't lock him down.
No, it definitely couldn't. They tried. They really did, but the disruption from GunTeR Warrior was well-timed as well. 2 Anvil of Dawns in the air simultaneously, like 2 fighter jet pilots kind of like transversing around. So it's kind of funny to watch that little side as we could see other transformations besides the Thor. I think maybe going into OhMyJhox for double hopwa, carpets, like extend the mobility that you can get closer. Also the ability to disengage if you really need to, as the crushing wave even this early is good enough to find these kills.
Petrify again from Just Lion, probably more for pressure than anything else. His purple buff is up, wants to clear the wave quick and get back to that, so that's likely why we saw it. The full 3-on-3 here in mid as GunTeR Warrior is trying to pick his spot, but MV3 uninterested. They'd much rather this red buff.
Yeah, this is an important one to get because you need RayoMid, this kind of mid pressure against the damage over time Raidunw on the Merlin. We haven't really spoken his name too much outside of the different styles of the build, but thus far it's coming out clean from Raidunw. Got a kill. No deaths quite yet, has a Cursed Orb for extra mobility, and once he does have that Doom Orb completed, he's going to have 145 base power and then 165 once that item is stacked up.
That's good patience from RayoMid. He was rooted there by Dragon King, and in a game like this where you're not always sure where the Thor is, I think it's really easy to overreact to any kind of CC, but RayoMid plays it calm there, and the Thor was way back at base, so he had the right read.
I don't know if Raidunw's going to be able to have the right read if Jose decides to rotate with his King Arthur. Doesn't have the blink, so not that big of a threat, but if anything, it's GunTeR that's in trouble. No hammer.
He's got to use the ultimate now, right? Because Jose's behind him. Makes it to the sky in time as Jose instead ults Fatality Fire, but Fatality Fire groups up too. In comes the dunk, but perfectly timed from JhoX. Drowns him with the crushing wave.
That was beautiful coming through from the Hopwa jungle. OhMyJhox even making his play from the rotation down in mid. Keep in mind, Just Lion, though, gets a free wave on the left side.
Fatality Fire enjoying some of this extended life that tiers get to have nowadays. He almost finds the turnaround kill in the JhoX, but the Atlas of the Yellow River proves to be too strong. RayoMid finally shuts him down, and MV3 not going to get bullied around this game. They find some much-needed kills.
I think that was, what, a 3 for nothing? Could be a 4 for 1 with the Petrify. Not enough damage onto OhMyJhox, but getting a tier 1 tower on top. Wow, OCG really on the board early in this second game.
Yeah, and in particular, Just Lion, he has been a true cyber bully in this left-hand side. But yeah, these charts are giving you an idea of just how much that MV3 were able to buy back in that fight there in mid. And it starts with that collapse. Just a good rotation from Jose, catching GunTeR Warrior out early, and then a perfect crushing wave from JhoX as well.
I thought that it was going to be RayoMid that was going to be in trouble a little bit, or sorry, rather Raidunw from that rotation out of Jose, but instead it was GunTeR Warrior that was just looking for a play on the side, but instead he was the one getting flanked. It actually reminded me of this one team fight around the purple buff in the last game where there was 4-on-4 for like a whole minute and a half where everybody was just flanking the other person.
Just Lion continuing to use that lead and deletes JhoX in the jungle. That was the Chaos side aggressing into the Order side. GunTeR Warrior takes to the sky. If Beast is going to continue to fight here, then he'll be a sitting duck. Those are the beads forced out. I think he stepped up to try and finish that kill on Just Lion, but couldn't quite land it, so OutCold make it out.
Forcing the beads out of Just Lion. Could look for a play later on also onto OhMyJhox without his own defensive relic against the global pressure Thor. GunTeR Warrior, despite that one death earlier, starting to make a little bit of an impact now. Dragon King might try to shut down this Ullr.
Maybe defend the purple, but not much chance of finding a kill there as GunTeR Warrior has to disengage on the right-hand side. Raidunw has finally finished off this Doom Orb, but I don't know. I feel like the timing took a while. How far is RayoMid from finishing his? Can we see, I guess, the golden hand? As Fatality Fire and Jose are in a real battle. Match. Oh wait, this could be trouble now for Fatality Fire.
I don't know. He does have power cleave. He has a little bit of cooldown reduction with that Gladiator shield, so that 8-second cooldown of the power cleave becomes 7.2. A lot of healing on that one ability, even if you're only hitting one god and he still has more health potions available.
You saw it. He was able to get out of there no problemo by using the Lawbringer to disengage. Good work from Jose to at least force that in that fight. But JhoX has not been quite able to get over here to the solo side. We've seen a couple of rotations where he's been close, but hasn't been able to find any actual ganks over there as RayoMid's gonna gank Just Lion. He's used everything. Now a sitting duck is this Medusa.
Trying to go for a third solo kill was Just Lion. Feeling himself a little bit too much now as GunTeR Warrior is telling him, all right, I think it's time to like calm down a little bit as RayoMid making a big play there.
Or do what he's doing now and at least invest in some vision if you're going to be that far forward. I mean, you got to be able to tell if that ends up happening. It's now GunTeR Warrior who's taken to the sky, and he dunks onto OhMyJhox at the backline, waits out the Aegis, but the leap gets him out of there. GunTeR Warrior couldn't track him with all that extra help coming from RayoMid, so Beast survives.
MV3 looking for a play because of that one kill on the left side, but just couldn't do it. Great shutdown from GunTeR. Now it could be Jose in a little bit of trouble. That doesn't have that much health to play with. Going for a different style of boots on the reinforced shoes compared to the Warrior tab out of Fatality. Really expecting a lot of these dots to be a problem.
Fatality Fire lands the Lawbringer, but still doesn't have enough damage to kill Jose here on this King Arthur in the short lane matchup. But he was very, very close to making that dive pan out. And this could be trouble now on the left-hand side. Nope, everyone's fine.
Looking for the rotation was RayoMid, expecting Fatality Fire to be aggressive. He hears that Morrigan stealth, a very loud sound cue, so important disengage there.
Fatality Fire ran for the hills in that short lane trying to get away from the rotating RayoMid. There have not really been any ganks in the short lane, and you don't have to over there. The only reason I bring it up is because there's been a lot of rotations over there, and neither solo laner has given up any opportunity.
And that's why Fatality Fire was that aggressive in the solo lane, diving under the tower, using the Lawbringer without an escape. Should have been a kill, actually.
Petrify, I think, might have missed. Didn't look like he got any damage out of it. Beast can't find the hail of arrows, and now you're the one that's been baited. Just Lion gets a little bit of backup from GunTeR Warrior, and they find the kill.
The real Thor shows up as he stands up in that long lane. OhMyJhox and Just Lion taking so many shots at each other in both games, and this has been kind of the theme of this entire set. It's like, who can put more pressure in the long lane, who can control some of the objectives, and thus far, 14 minutes in, neither team feeling confident enough to go for the Gold Fury.
That's the ultimate from Kuroneko, sets up for the crushing wave from JhoX, but that's not the damage that you would expect. GunTeR Warrior survives. Just Lion finds the kill into JhoX on the back end, and RayoMid hasn't been able to find the dunk that he wants. He does get to Raidunw, way in the back on this Merlin. That's a big stun coming out as well, but Dragon King is able to stand in the middle of all that damage. RayoMid loops around, and Just Lion's the target, but Aegis buys him a moment.
But not enough against the belly bump from Kuroneko. Good route onto Raidunw as well. No real follow-up. A little low health bar members out of MV3.
Yeah, Jose trying to come back in to keep this fight going. Raidunw is stuck in the middle, but still had the flicker after all. That GunTeR Warrior wall shuts down RayoMid, and now they come to the backline. Jose was trying to see if he can get to Raidunw, but Raidunw was able to wiggle his way out. In fact, he's coming back in to provide more damage, but Jose able to retreat too.
Good Gladiator shield proc, hitting 3 members. Root as well from Kuroneko. Not going to allow Jose to fall victim the same way RayoMid and Just Lion did there, as Just Lion has been using his Petrify so often in the long lane that if he had it in that last team fight, I think it would have been handily in OutCold's favor.
Not a bad skirmish for them at all, but they do end up losing Just Lion. Beast will take this opportunity to push down the long lane and find a tier 1 tower. But Ryan's going to have that problem, I feel like, all game long, where whether it's Jose or RayoMid turning into the Thor or JhoX, they're going to be looking for this Merlin at the back of these fights.
They definitely should be looking for this Merlin. His flicker's a very short distance. His beat is on cooldown for 80 seconds.
Well, there you go.
That was an easy kill opportunity. Raiden, I think, kind of angrily F6'd after his death there. We've all been there. He's like, team, where are you? So I kind of respect that. But now with a 5-on-4, MV3 should look for this objective.
Beast is jumping aggressively yet again. He got the Petrify out of Just Lion. That is a win for Beast if I've ever seen one. They're going to come right back towards the gold free off the back of that. And that's forcing GunTeR Warrior into the ultimate early. They hadn't even really committed yet.
No, not quite yet. They saw that Beast use that jump there. He actually tried to hammer away instead of the wall, but now he's between a rock and a hard place.
That's a great sequence from Beast and the rest of MV3, though. Forcing the Petrify from Lion, forcing the ultimate from GunTeR Warrior, and finding the kill.
Going to look for a little bit more there. Just Lion narrowly avoids that ultimate, not having the range. On the backside, Fatality Fire with a nice double fearless.
What? They get another kill to Just Lion in the back. RayoMid lives through that. And now Fatality Fire can't get the Lawbringer off in time. Another kill for RayoMid as they've suddenly found 3. And they're going to keep this waterfall chugging along as they head to the back towards Dragon King. Axe off the mark, but they're able to get the hamstring. Jose gets 1 more. That's 4 kills, and they should be able to get Gold Fury.
Crippling the Artio's kneecaps to prevent her from dashing away. So MV3 walks away clean without losing a single member. 4 victims out of OutCold Gaming. Their first death there would have been actually onto RayoMid, with that Gold Fury making a big play there. Even taunting a little bit was zzKuroneko, bringing it closer to the low health mid Morrigan.
Yeah, don't you want to die to this, man? Come on back in. That's a faster back.
It's like, I got your friend over here. He's been dying to meet you.
Yeah, he's been hitting on you all day. Come on, man. You don't want to say hello. Instead, MV3 keep RayoMid alive, as they should. Grab the Gold Fury, and now they've got about a 2,000 gold lead to their name. And that fight goes so well, largely because Beast was so aggressive on the left-hand side. They got the Petrify from Just Lion, and then forced GunTeR Warrior into an early Anvil of Dawn.
And you can't even forget the fact that Raiden died before that fight even really was a thing, right? So that is huge, knowing that there's no Merlin AoE damage coming through with all that magical power, with even that Spear of the Magus. It's so much penetration you don't want to have to worry about, and we're still seeing a little bit of a slap box in the solo side, as Jose does have a 2-level lead now, though. And with the Black Thorns and the Yoni's Hunters, he's kind of in the right to make this play. I thought there was going to be a rotation from some junglers on this side of the map, but nope.
And Doug, can I see player damage down there on those charts? I want to get an idea of where JhoX is. And he's in a decent spot at 6,200, not too bad, but it felt like he hasn't quite done as much damage as he should. Tell that to Fatality Fire, though, as JhoX right on cue rotates over and says, yeah, I'm swinging all right.
One of the only CCs that tier doesn't really immune as a lower rate is knockup. So a good play from JhoX and RayoMid. Stun into the knockup. Nowhere really for the tier to go if he's not already channeling that Lawbringer.
Said gets punished. 1 more has taken to the sky, and it's GunTeR Warrior they want to try and punish JhoX. JhoX uses the beads, crushing wave to reposition, and he avoids the hammer, so GunTeR Warrior now can no longer escape. Knockup's there with the beads, a little bit too late, and as soon as we bring JhoX up, he does another 2k damage and finds 2 kills. I'm all right with it.
Yeah, no problem at all for this level 15 Hawa, 3 items deep. Oh, Ice Beast, by the way, returning the favor onto Just Lion with his own solo kill.
Level 19 and not looking too bad. They've got Dragon King locked down in the jungle till JhoX comes into frame, misses that knockup. We won't talk about that. Does get the water hands, and RayoMid finds the kill. 4 in a row for MV3, and they're looking much better than they did in game 1.
I think RayoMid actually got that kill with his basic attack, the 3rd one that provides that dot damage. So a good kill there, and with MV3 making a little bit of a comeback now into this set with that Gold Fury earlier, the tier 1 mid tower, looking for some objectives on the right now.
And not Pyromancer, not right now. They're gonna go for the Fire Giant. This one's a bit risky. Fatality Fire is here, and the ultimate's available for GunTeR Warrior if you can get in a range. And they're not exactly burning through the FG. Instead, they're trying to bait a Fatality Fire. They drop the Fire Giant entirely, and they just want to look for the tier, but Fatality Fire's doing work up against 5 members. In comes GunTeR Warrior, a little bit of help from the Merlin damage as well, and suddenly they've turned this fight around in OutCold's favor.
Oh, trying to run away his Fatality Fire. He's so low, finally going to get taken out by RayoMid, but he accomplished his goal. He stopped the Fire Giant attempt out of MV3. They even traded out 1-for-1.
Making it 1v1, but as you said, Fire Giant was stopped, so OutCold can't feel too bad. Looking for the lockdown onto Jose, petrifying to RayoMid as Just Lion continues to be aggressive, trades the aggro on that tower back to the rest of the team, and RayoMid falls as well. Tier 1 tower should fall, there it goes, and now Jose isolated.
Oh, but he's against 4 members, and this is exactly where King Arthur wants to be, but he's just not tanking up for all that burst.
JhoX comes in, doesn't have the crushing wave, and he ends up falling. OhMyJhox jumps aggressively into 3 members. I would not ask him to change his playstyle now, as he has a chance for a triple kill. Aegis buys him time, finds GunTeR Warrior, is stuck inside the Merlin, damage leaps in for a little bit more. He finds the axe and gets himself a double. OhMyJhox turns things around.
I saw it in my eyes for the triple kill, but not having the range on that hail of arrows.
Yeah, we got to see it on the screen.
OhMyJhox. The man has no fear. He jumps in 1v3 over the blue buff. He knew what he was jumping into. An absolute bloodshed between everyone of this second game.
Nearly turns that one around. I mean, he still does by finding 2 kills and finding the double there in that engagement. He just could not get all 3. And OutCold surging, and then it was MV3 surging, and then a Fire Giant dance, and this long fight in this right-hand side that ends up favoring, I don't know, no one. It's just a bloodbath over there.
All right, so we had 58 kills in 40 minutes, right?
Yes.
We're now at 30 kills in like 22. We're on pace to beat that record of the first game.
And it was a really slow start to this match, but once we got to like the 14-minute mark, the action really started kicking off, and no one was worried about objectives. It was just fights in the jungle, as OhMyJhox cannot be deterred. 19,000 player damage on this Ullr.
Looking for a Raiden, forcing out the Aegis, expecting some follow-up. Maybe he was anticipating OhMyJhox to be around the corner, but now he has to worry about RayoMid transforming into the Thor.
He is able to find him in the back line, but has some help from DragonKing. RayoMid can't get the hammer, can't get the wall, and now he's stuck as this Morrigan fighting up against 2. Here's the real Thor taken to the sky. But does he have an idea where RayoMid is? Looks like no. He'll just come back down near JhoX.
JhoX, crushing wave, not gonna matter because he has follow-up from Beast on the backside.
Saves him with the axe, and Bladed Arrow was there to set up for the kill. DragonKing and Just Lion running. But this axe is off the mark. Raiden's damage there to deter the aggression, and that forces Beast to finally jump defensively.
JhoX, meanwhile, is playing with his life, still here with 10% health, just to get a water spout off of the root from Kuroneko. That's the trust that these teammates have with one another. It's like, all right, you get the guaranteed CC, I'll get the guaranteed follow-up.
Oni Fury now being pulled. Just Lion and Raiden are here. Just Lion does not have the ultimate at this point, so they don't have nearly as much steal potential, but they actually dropped the Oni. And now Jose just kind of zoning for zonings, just for the fun of it, I suppose, and now he'll disengage.
Yeah, we saw what happened to him last time when he was on 1-on-4. Normally, King Arthurs thrive in that little environment to proc that Gladiator shield multiple times, but just too much burst damage on the flip side. Oni Hunter, or rather Oni Fury, very close to dying there, as we're finally seeing DragonKing make that rotation, keeping them in check.
There's just really not that much anti-heal in this game at all. Contagion is there for DragonKing, but I mean, that's about it. So almost all this sustain's gonna be coming through in these fights.
I was gonna say that Contagion would have been a really great pickup from one of these solo laners, considering how aggressive both of them were. Fatality Fire relying on the power cleave for healing, Jose relying on the Gladiator shield for the same idea. But now we're seeing a little bit of a scuffle in mid.
Petrify lands and JhoX pops like a pimple in the middle lane. GunTeR Warrior gets the credit, though a lot of that damage was just Lion. That just leaves 4 members of MV3 that are up, and OutCold, they're heading to the right. And there's no Pyromancer over here, Tully. This must be a Fire Giant.
Could be a little bit of a bait now. You gotta respect RayoMid's capabilities to either transform into the Thor for the Disrupt or the Hobwab for the Burst.
But it was Jose who came around the corner. That's not nearly as appetizing a target. Kuroneko mezzes 2, and then Epic uppercuts 1. Waiting is RayoMid. Both doors take to the sky almost simultaneously. Beast in trouble in the back, but RayoMid dunks on a Just Lion, and GunTeR Warrior can't quite match it. In the backline, RayoMid finds himself a double kill as Raiden falls as well.
Nobody was protecting their backline. Both Just Lion and Raiden gonna drop like flies, and now Fatality Fire trying to run for his life as well.
Fatality Fire is certainly in trouble, still has the blink to escape, but Beast wants them to keep up the chase. They finally give it up, though, once he makes it the tier 2 tower. But you were right. OutCold waited. They wanted to do a bait, but it was Jose who came around the corner, and that is not the fish they were looking for.
No, definitely not. Like, you dropped the Sentry Ward right at the bottom of right mid camps. They really invested their own positioning deep into the heart of the Fire Giant instead of like going to these avenues where you're forcing them to funnel in and then you catch them, kind of like 300 style, right? Like, you want to hold those narrow choke points, but instead they allowed MV3 to gain positioning on top of OCG.
And Kuroneko's initiation there was really nuts. He blinked in, Mez 2, epic uppercutted the second, and even though it was a 5v4 they were starting off, because of his control, it was kind of like a 4v3, you know what I mean? Like in their favor, because two members were able to react, at least initially, and it just kind of waterfalls in their favor from there. Not a bad fight from MV3 at all. And then RayoMid was the better Thor in that fight as opposed to GunTeR Warrior.
I thought that whichever Thor landed first was going to be in more trouble because the second Thor was going to land on top of the Thor.
Sure.
That's kind of what you want to do with global pressure versus global pressure. You look at junglers looking for the engagements secondary, right? Because you disrupt them afterwards, right? You're expecting the full combo, you're expecting the Berserker Barrage, but that wasn't the mindset that GunTeR Warrior had. He was thinking like an assassin instead of thinking like an overall team player of how to shut down RayoMid instead.
Well, MV3 now have a chance to make a big power play. They've got Fire Giant on all 5 members, and they're up about 6,000 gold. This Oni Fury is going to add to that, and they'll even have a wave to push with on the next one that spawns. So the question becomes, where does OutCold go to play defense? Can they afford to defend on tier 2s right now, or do they fall all the way back to Phoenixes?
It's hard to really say. I think MV3 have a good pushing power, and without the Petrify, and maybe without Just Lying, I don't see how they defend.
JhoX does get the kill, and he's trying to wiggle his way out of there. GunTeR Warrior should be able to rectify this with that Anvil of Dawn, but JhoX avoids it, but not the hammer, even without the wall. GunTeR Warrior makes it 1-for-1.
Very accurate there to make that a possibility. Now, Fatality Fire, they're all fighting outside of their towers and Phoenixes. MV3 on the chase.
Finds the Mez to max range. Maybe you could wait until the end duration of that Mez for the epic uppercut, but looks like it won't matter. Dragon King in some trouble. In comes RayoMid's Thor. Doesn't find the dunk, doesn't find the spin, but that should be okay.
Oh.
They'll get Dragon King eventually, I guess not.
No, he's out.
Yeah.
He's going to hibernate.
Oh, man. That's a bummer.
He's got a lot of moss.
That was a free kill.
Might be a free kill. That's a Raiden. Okay. He was just not in range for the stun, but left side Phoenix is vulnerable now.
I'm not sure. Did RayoMid know he was there or not? It might not matter. They get Beads and Aegis out of him, and the stun perfectly timed. Beast able to find the kill on the back end of that. But there's still 3 members of OutCold that are alive. GunTeR Warrior takes to the sky. He should come towards RayoMid, and he does to stop this push. Force out Beads and Aegis. Hammer off the mark, so instead Jose comes back in to try and back him up. There's the Aximo High's Beast, and they find one more.
Dragon King rooted now in place, looking for a way to keep his left side Phoenix alive, sacrificing his life.
Triple field there to stop the disengage. Just Lion is able to find a Petrify, and Jose gets the first kill of this one as MV3 stops Dragon King. They get the left side Phoenix, and RayoMid should be able to get out.
I can't believe RayoMid just got out, and he goes back in. He has no fear whatsoever, just lying on the backside, looking for the cleanup.
He deserves that death, 100%. Just Lion now has rejoined the fray to try and help out. MV3 did get the left side Phoenix they want. Crushing Wave, not quite enough for the kill, but Jose has been on the mark with these ultimates for the stun.
Only Just Line and Raiden to play defense, but MV3 not interested in trying to go for the end without any minions. Gonna take the cleaner approach, go for the tier 2 middle tower, go for the tier 2 on the right side as well.
We're at 44 kills now, Tully. They could make it. They could pass that total from game number 1 with the pace they're setting.
They're only 14 kills away in 10 minutes worth of play.
Yeah, they could definitely make that happen here as OutCold manages to keep their base from entirely breaking. They bend, but don't break. They'll lose all the tier 2 towers off the back of this. This was the Fire Giant push from MV3 that just fell off here now, so another minute until the Fire Giant spawns. And if OutCold have given us any indication, they'll be here to fight.
Yeah, and with this kind of a deficit and having to worry about fire minions on the opposite side of the map, I gotta let it go if I'm OutCold Gaming. I am not a willing participant to play defense there. I'm more capable of actually holding my middle Phoenixes, but taking that fight outside of the tier 2 tower is where things really went south for OutCold Gaming. Now, they did see JhoX out of position, so to be fair, it makes sense as to why they tried it in the first place, but this is a late game Hobwa where he has so much kill potential. In fact, he did kill Justline on his own. He almost escaped if it wasn't for GunTeR Warrior's global pressure getting him closer to the Hobwa.
That's right, really, and it was just the free hammer without a wall stun, without an Anvil of Dawn stun. That didn't land either, where he was able to find it. So GunTeR Warrior really saves that fight from being much, much worse in favor of MV3 than it already was. But Fire Giant back on the map now, and that's where MV3 are heading. OutCold send 2 over to push up that left side wave, and it looks like, as you said, they are going to stay back on Phoenixes and defend there.
An important Fire Giant because this is an enhanced version now. That left Phoenix was a bit of a struggle, I think, for MV3, but now with this enhanced Fire Giant, it should be a lot easier to get the last remaining 2 Phoenixes to clean up the game and to bring this set into the 3rd game.
And everyone's relics are going to be available for this skirmish as well. So this should be just a bit of a heads-up fight. The only big difference is the Fire Giant buff for MV3, and then all that gold. We're not fully 6-slotted on everybody just yet, and we still got to sell off boots, we still got to upgrade relics and stuff, so all that gold lead certainly still matters here at this point in favor of MV3.
Look at that slash line from OhMyJhox. 14, 4, and 6, being a part of 20 of his team's 29 kills. That long lane just did not stop the action.
Kuroneko went in first to start things off. GunTeR Warrior has found himself a 2-man stun in the back. It's OhMyJhox that gets pulled back in, but RayoMid deletes GunTeR Warrior. Fatality Fire comes forward to try and find the kill, but he gets knocked up and controlled. JhoX finds the credit, and RayoMid still in the sky. He comes down on a Just Lion, uses the hammer to disengage instead of finishing the kill, and Just Lion survives.
He was afraid of the follow-up in return. Great knockups from JhoX. He disrupts GunTeR Warrior, he disrupts Fatality Fire, now OhMyJhox for the 3rd kill of this little skirmish onto OutCold Gaming. 2nd Phoenix does go down. Titan, very vulnerable now.
Yeah, this should just be it in favor of MV3 if they do this properly. Just Lion dies in the fountain because OhMyJhox has just that much damage. Yeah, put the pin in this one. It's done. Go ahead and start queuing up game number 3. MV3 not going down just yet.
No, definitely not. Gonna bring this to a game number 3. Want one more kill. Why not? Epic uppercut right on top of Raiden. They do get that kill. 40 kills in 32 minutes.
Not quite as many kills as we saw in game number 1, but certainly still as much fun here between these two clearly evenly matched teams of MV3 and OutCold. Game number 3 here is in the cards, and OhMyJhox made it happen.
You can never really count out MV3 because the last time that these teams faced off, it was MV3 that won that set 2-0 despite OutCold winning the previous 2.
What a strong performance. RayoMid, I said it during the cast, and I think that is another really big thread from this one. He was the better Thor this game than GunTeR Warrior. He had less opportunities to beat Thor, and he nailed just about everyone that he got. OhMyJhox was a monster on the Ullr as well here this game, and it took JhoX a while to get there, but his Hobwa late game was pretty good.
Now, the one good thing I wanted to say from OutCold Gaming was the aggressive nature from Just Lion. 2 solo kills on OhMyJhox. It just wasn't enough to translate into Gold Furies. There was never a time where there were several rotations to make advantage of that 5-on-4. The respawn timers were a little too short.
Well, it's been an action-packed first 2 games here. Can't imagine the 3rd game's going to be any different. Grab your drink while you can and get right back here for game 3.
INAP, powering the control room for the SMITE Console League.
Welcome back to the SMITE Console League, everybody out there. It is time for game number 3 here between Maverick and OutCold, and it has been an awesome set to watch here up until now. If you love action and kills, that's what we got here for you. Finch, I'm joined by Anatoly Alexeyanok right here next to me. And Anatoly, I don't even know how to predict how this is going to go. It's just going to be a bloodbath is all I know.
I mean, we saw, what, 58 kills in 40 minutes game number 1. Game 2 was 40 kills in 32.5 minutes.
Yeah.
So by my estimation, we're probably going to see a shorter game, but with still a lot of kills.
That's right. It's been slowly going down in terms of the game length each time, but not in terms of the action. So let's move into those picks and bans right away. OutCold will be in the first spot here. MV3 will be getting that also important 10th pick to kind of look back at the whole draft and add something to the roster. But for me, man, this Morrigan has been a really valuable pick. Who's ever had it has looked like they're the team that's been coming out a bit on top. I wonder if that's going to be getting a little bit more valued here in this game.
And it's funny because it's the Morrigan into the Thor transformation that just worked out so well there. Last time it was the Morrigan into the dodge. She was trying to be a big impact there, so watch out for this Morrigan first pick potentially even.
Could potentially be very valuable here in this set. Dodgy banned out again by MV3, though. They don't want to let GunTeR Warrior have another strong performance. And it's going to be OutCold taking the Ullr this time, giving that over to Just Lion. Even though the Medusa played really well from the early game, they got a bunch of solo kills, they weren't quite able to translate that lead into anything meaningful, so they're going to get him back onto the Ullr.
I mean, so far from what I'm seeing, it's been the Ullr and Morrigan that have 100% win rate so far in this set. But now they're on different teams, so somebody's going to break that record.
Interesting. I don't know. I think I'm leaning a bit onto this Morrigan being the more deciding one. We'll see how it ends up working out as Artio works together with Morrigan. Something big has changed with Artio that is making her a little bit more valuable because she's been a top pick in all 3 of these games here so far. Meanwhile, OutCold take the Ravana and the Ares, and watch out, that could easily be Ravana's support.
Oh, it definitely could be, as I'm probably expecting that to be the case. Like, we have an Ares so far, so you could definitely stick the Ares in jungle as well, so I'm kind of expecting this Ravana to continue playing in support.
Certainly could be. I think it was DragonKing that we saw playing that earlier. He might return to it as MV3 grabbed the Geb. And you were talking to me earlier about how you were potentially worried about this Geb pick coming through and having a really big impact, and I think he could do that here again into this Ullr, into this Ares, and into the Ravana.
It's going to be needing more CCs than just those 3 from OCG. We're going to have to see potentially some longer range stuff. Maybe a global pressure, maybe Neath wouldn't be a bad idea to really start shutting down and focus out one individual target.
MV3 take Rom, and I don't know, this doesn't feel like a brawling hunter to pick, and that's what's been happening over there in that long lane, as they have just been 1v1ing all game. But he can use that ultimate to trade relatively safely, so maybe that's the call. As a raw Kukulkan come through at the bottom for OutCold.
It seems that they're expecting some really long team fights, and that's the only reason why I would want to go for Raw is when I'm expecting that. But trying to prevent that from being a lengthy team fight is this aggressive Thanatos.
Very interesting that they're saying you're not even going to get to those heals because we're going to execute you before you make it. There is MV3 with this Thanatos pick. Maverick and OutCold here in PS4 EU go all the way to a 3rd game. And it looks like they might have already moved into the action there a little bit. Don't worry, we'll take a little bit of time to get everything sorted out here. There we go. Right back towards the beginning, and we can move into the action.
I'm expecting GunTeR Warrior now that is playing the Ravana jungle to be very aggressive now with his Blink, and also DragonKing looking for those early aggressive Blink plays. Kuroneko on the flip side though, expecting it between this Ares Ravana double aggressive combination, goes for the shell, anticipating it.
And now it's the other solo laner who's missing. It was Steven, who was in for Fatality Fire earlier in the day. And now it's Kino over here for MV3. Things are all over the place.
Yeah, a little of an interesting swap out of both of these teams. And also like this little change up from Raidunw on the raw mid. Not going to help out the speed buff clear. Instead, he clears out the wave with one Celestial Beam, going to rotate back around in mid to get off a second one. And the idea behind this is when you can get off those two abilities and clear the way faster, you should be in prime position to invade the red.
Certainly should be, and that's one thing that Raw is able to do, kind of like a Kumbhakarna almost. You can kind of set the Celestial Beam and forget and start moving off right away. So that is one of those things that's afforded to him. It looks like we are able to get right back into the action. No big delay there. And we'll see if Raidunw can make this Raw work, because these mid laners have been under a lot of duress these games, and Raw could potentially be a real big target.
They certainly have been. That healing Solar Blessing is going to be important. The passive to get extra mobility, I think it's 8% per passive stack, is a good way to avoid potentially the Thanatos that has his own sort of movement speed, as well as RayoMid on the Stealth Morrigan.
That's right. Once you have it built up, you only need one more to keep it going. I'm talking about the Raw passive there still, so it can feel pretty good when you're in rhythm, firing off abilities and keeping all that extra mobility going, especially with the Doom Orb in. Actually, it's going to be really hard to catch this Raw, so
good luck.
Maybe he won't be in as much trouble as I thought.
Yeah, good luck trying to catch up to that Raw, but he's going to need to be still in position to get off his abilities, because with GunTeR and Dragon King and even Fatality Fire playing this aggressive of a style of a front line, it's up to Raidunw to hit his shots.
That's a great point. This draft really does seem like they're going to be relying on him. It's not all the greatest setup in the world. I mean, obviously, the Ares ultimate into the Snipes is a good combo. The big knockup of Fatality Fire into the Snipes is good, too. So they're going to be relying on those pieces together to make this work, but there's some less consistent ones too, like the Root from GunTeR Warrior, the Axe from Just Lion. There's some other pieces where they're going to need Raidunw to be ready.
OhMyJhox just casually rolling in, eats the Bladed Arrow and the Hail of Arrows for good measure. Only level 3 Ullr currently, so not dealing that much as Jhox looking for that aggression, waiting for a jump potentially.
Yeah, Just Lion's done. There's the Science. Beads gives him a moment, but with this Scythe waiting, no, they don't grab this kill. Scythe off the mark from Jhox. I can't believe he wouldn't have used it when they first came in. He was much closer, especially after the silence.
I definitely agree with you, but the thing is there's so many small moments in that decision-making process where you could go behind a minion and then all of a sudden you wasted that Death Scythe. So I do like the patience there, but there's just less accuracy now because of the travel time. It's much easier to juke out, and we saw it there under the tower.
Nice work from Just Lion, though, to survive that, but much like if this were baseball, instead of, you know, a hit, it feels more like an error a little bit there, where Jhox, I think, was favored to get that kill, and Just Lion makes it out.
But Just Lion, keep in mind, he got pressured out in game number 1 as well when he was playing the Ullr, and he struggled. Despite not dying right off the bat on the Ullr, he did get ganked, and he was forced to back several times to the point where he was behind about 1 to 2 levels in that early game. Did eventually catch up in the mid game, but when you're the one applying pressure on the Ullr, he's not the one applying pressure to you. This helps OhMyJhox playing the mid to late game Rama get to a smooth transition.
And if this does go long again, I mean, both these matches have been 30 minutes plus, I think you'd much rather have the ROM than the Ullr. I mean, Funballer just pulled this out for Renegades on Friday, I believe, against E United, and made that red ROM look really good with those snipes.
And even before that, Dardas has played ROM in that mid lane as well, so I think we might even see more ROM heading into the high-res expo if the team fights are expecting to last a long time when you have a Geb on one side, a Raw on the other. ROM, with all that attack speed steroids, helps siege on the towers and the Phoenixes.
That's how I'm a bit surprised he went Ninja Tabi. ROM can pretty easily overcap during the steroid. I mean, it's not too big of a deal, but just that you don't always need that extra attack speed, but it's going to help a lot in this early game, and he doesn't benefit that much more from power as he takes up to the sky. Is able to find the first shot in the GunTeR Warrior, but not the last two, and has to roll out defensively.
It might have been a kill if he landed those last two. The only reason why he went for it in the first place was because the overhead kick was not available to immune any damage. The first one was easy to connect considering it was the bigger circle, but not hitting the second two. You know what it is, Finch? It's just kind of a warm-up test, a little bit of an accuracy test.
Yeah, you don't hit your first shots in basketball. You know, you got to come out there and warm up here first. And same here for OhMyJhox as he starts to work on that ROM a little bit. I think it was Hazer who was saying on Twitter, ROM looks good when you hit every snipe. So that goes to show the variance, I suppose.
It really does. But even this early on, you're not dealing that much damage on the ROM. And to kind of piggyback on your conversation with the Ninja Tabi on the ROM, I kind of like it because Ra feels like he just goes out of mana so often, right?
Sure.
So that extra 200 mana or so from Chitabai certainly helps out.
Fatality Fire is able to find not just first blood, but a solo kill into Kino underneath the tier 1, but he's gonna pay. There's the stun from RayoMid, but in comes GunTeR to back him up. RayoMid transforms into the Robin to look for the kill, but can't quite catch him. The Salmon Leap gets Fatality Fire out of there.
Still had the jump to get out of that one. Great play from Fatality Fire. I like the idea that Kino had there. He purposely put himself in that dangerous position because he was expecting that rotation from RayoMid to play cleanup or maybe even find the kill. Didn't respect that spin to win from Fatality, though, that has such a short cooldown.
That's right, ends up catching him out. The spear of mortal pain into the Warcry and Rage form, and hello! Almost a solo kill, but JhoX comes in, Just Lion finds it anyway. Still has the beads who can start to reposition, but there's an entire convoy of MV3 on the way, and Just Lion stands tall.
In a 1v2, still gets the kill as well. Hello, Raiden, trying to get the kill onto JhoX. Hits Kuroneko instead, does root him in place though.
What a curious sequence. They just kind of stand there and watch as if they don't think Raiden has any backup coming. When was the last time a Raw confidently walked into a 1v2 like that?
I mean, when's the last time you even saw a Raw in the first place,
exactly.
right? So, I mean, there was method to the madness. It's not as though Raiden did that for his own health.
That's what I'm saying. Why do JhoX and Kuroneko just kind of watch? They're like, man, this Raw sure is being silly, huh?
Well, sometimes the no juke is the best juke.
Sure.
So against a Raw, that actually makes a little bit of sense. And honestly, if they're both that far away from each other and they both stand still, well, they're both not getting hit by the Raw, right?
So there's only a chance you line up for the snipe, I suppose, if you move around. But that favors OutCold. They hit hard in the early game, 4-0 already. And look where these kills are in prime spots. 2 for GunTeR Warrior, 1 for Just Lion on this Ullr with the Transcendence finished and stacking already. This could potentially be scary for MV3.
It definitely could be, as OhMyJhox is going for the more traditional route of the Devourer's Gauntlets. Kino this time not going to play victim for any sort of team rotation, will safely be under his tier 1 tower. Fatality Fire does have the Vent Anger ticking, so he doesn't want to get the tower aggro necessarily.
But he should be in position for this blue buff invade. But look at MV3. They're going to have 4 members on this side. Kuroneko's here, RayoMid's here, Kino and JhoX all here, and it's still not enough. Blue buff gotten, and JhoX can't even land the ultimate on the back end, so that means there's no stun. Fatality Fire moves in aggressively off the back end, but the chains are there for GunTeR Warrior to go aggressive. They find the kill, but they're stuck underneath the tower. They somehow get away with that scot-free.
Good shot from Kuroneko. It just wasn't enough. RayoMid is the casualty there. Blue buff does go the way of Fatality Fire, stripping that away from Kino that really needs it as an Artio. When you don't have the Breastplate of Valor to rely on that MP5, you don't have control either of these Totem of Coups for the MP5. Now you're not having the mana buff.
And this is old school here as OhMyJhox in a lot of trouble. He rolls aggressively and is finding the shots. Leap back in for Just Lion. You're not taking off yet. Not cleared for takeoff. Just Lion finds that kill on the left-hand side. But totally, to come back to this solo lane talk, I mean, we haven't seen the Guardians blessing Guardian over there in a long time.
Definitely not, as this is not something you want to do in Season 6 because of that Totem of Coup mechanic. If you concede that lane too early, you're losing a little bit too much gold early.
RayoMid turns into the Ravana for the get-out-of-jail-free cards, I say with an S, because he has Mystic Rush and the overhead kick. Just Lion looping beyond the tier 1, but can't find much there. He did have Fatality Fire in tow, but Fatality Fire is going to settle for stealing the speed again.
Yeah, no problem at all from the Soul Laner, right? Even using that ultimate.
It's defended.
All right, but JhoX is still taking way too much damage for his own good. Good cap shield, actually, that absorbed that barbed spear.
Just Lion gets another solo kill into OhMyJhox. Meanwhile, it looks like Fatality Fire was able to successfully bait up there by the speed buff and at least pressure out MV3. Look at this pressure they constantly have into the Chaos side jungle.
Kino makes his rotation, but not going to make anything of it now, as Fatality Fire will get a solo wave under that solo lane side and even possibly get that tower.
Why do you pick Thanatos nowadays, Tolly?
To stop the assassin or the Guardians from invading your speed.
Is it to be level 6, 9.5 minutes in, the lowest in the game?
No, unfortunately not. It's also not to go into the Assassin's Blessing because you want to rush the Warrior Tabi and, you know, just do a lot of damage early on.
It just has not panned out for JhoX here this time. And obviously we don't want to be too hard on MV3 if they are playing with someone who had to fill in for them in the solo role. And OutCold Gaming have their full squad here, but it looks like we might not be having a close end to this one. So far, it has been dominant from OutCold, 8-0, 6,000 gold up. Doug, you might as well show me the chart so I can put an exact number on the experience as well. Yeah, 8,000's pretty brutal.
Yeah, this is a lot cleaner from OutCold Gaming compared to how aggressive both teams were in the last 2 games. OhMyJhox does have ultimate, but he doesn't feel that Just Line is in lethal range yet.
He had a mini-wave advantage, which is why he got aggressive. Fatality Fire lives through the ultimate from JhoX. In fact, there's a snipe from Raidunw that hits home that slows it down. So we'll check back into our previously scheduled solo fight. First snipe lands, second snipe off the mark. Just Lion can't avoid the last one. OhMyJhox puts MV3 on the board, but he's in trouble now. In comes the rotation from OutCold.
Rolling towards the enemy's tower. I mean, OhMyJhox has nowhere else to go, so he's going to at least try to waste more time out of OutCold Gaming. But despite all of that, because Just Lion dies, that means that the Gold Fury is a lot harder to confirm from OCG.
JhoX, this just ain't gonna happen for you, buddy. He's running into the jungle, but GunTeR Warrior's waiting. He gets the information from Kino that he needs to run the other way, so that's a good call from him. But you're right, that should have been a Gold Fury. And instead, MV3 bought a little bit of time to slow down OutCold.
Well, Just Line now responding, so waiting probably for Raiden's ultimate to be able to get in there a little closer, especially if they can kill RayoMid here.
And this should be a kill. Good stun from GunTeR Warrior, but Dragon King, the chains through the wall, connect on to RayoMid for one more. A 4-level disparity in the middle lane between Raidunw and RayoMid. 3 levels, well, 2.5 between the junglers, GunTeR Warrior and JhoX at this point. MV3 just cannot find the farm, and now Gold Fury will go down uncontested.
Searing Pain is available for Raidunw, as he's going to be able to confirm it handily there. Even going to try to zone as the objective confirmer.
Yeah, it looks like they've recognized that they don't need it. I don't know how exactly they got the information, but Raidunw leaving was all the information I needed that they felt they didn't need to confirm. Snipe off the mark, so Raidunw can no longer win the 1v1, but he can take the 2v1 instead with the chains.
A little bit of sleight of hand from the Raw. The Flames good enough from Dragon King. You got the heat from the Raw or the heat from the Ares. Pick your poison.
Yeah, either way you're burning, and we'll see you later to OhMyJhox. Nice damage from Just Lion, but avoids the scythe again. JhoX picks the Thanatos, but I'm not so sure he was comfortable on it as GunTeR Warrior immunes the stun as he tries to take down RayoMid. There's the Changeling ultimate from him. It does let the disengage. This stun will get RayoMid out of there, but Fatality Fire gets Kino in the right for a solo, and Raidunw gets JhoX in the jungle.
The beads and the Aegis. Healing a little bit is Just Lion, and OutCold Gaming are just playing with their food at this point, really making it look like the last 2 games didn't even ever happen.
No, you're right. I mean, those close matches from games 1 and 2 are in the rearview mirror. Not even 13 minutes into this one, OutCold are threatening the tier 2 and left. zzKuroneko's coming over to try and stop this with some help from the snipes from OhMyJhox, but that's a tier 2.
That is a tier 2. GunTeR might pay with his life depending on how frisky MV3 want to get their Raidunw.
Dragon King?
Trying to make something happen, but look at JhoX on the backside.
Yeah, Raidunw is trying to help over the wall, but it's not enough. Just Lion has the axe. Good shockwave prevents what would have surely been a kill there from Just Lion as Raidunw finds JhoX in the jungle, who just can't get anything going.
This might be even a triple kill if Raidunw can land one more Celestial Beam. Good shield coming through from Kuroneko. Solar Blessing not enough in a 1v4.
All right, yeah, a little too much now from OutCold as they let themselves get ahead of themselves on the left-hand side. They do still grab that tier 2 tower. They're still tremendously in the lead, so it's okay if they get a little bit off the rails.
I love those 2 laugh comparisons between the Raw, the Chibi Raw, versus that Earth Geb as well. You got like the little frisky kid that's always kind of running around, and then you got the old man that's all grumpy and is like telling the little kid to get off of his lawn.
Yeah, and apparently JhoX isn't allowed to even go get his speed buff at this point, as the level 12 GunTeR Warrior is there waiting for him to not only steal it from him, but give him 80% of his health bar too. This Thanatos has not worked from minute 1.
Yeah, GunTeR Warrior is the majority shareholder on that speed buff, and that's why he has full rights and full claim. He's like that 51% holder.
Yeah, he's telling him that, you know, you're not going to get to be in the Marvel movies or anything like that. He's holding on to everything. Dragon King does go into the no escape, is able to pull in 2 members, but no immediate follow-up. Now comes the dunk from GunTeR Warrior over the wall, and JhoX low as he has been all game. RayoMid turns into the ultimate, or into the Ravana, and that does actually get him an important kill on the Just Lion.
See, this is a good fight for MV3 because Fatality Fire isn't here quite yet, but now that he is making this rotation, he could clean up onto JhoX.
He'll start with JhoX, but he could have way more than that. as he finds the Spear of the Mortal Pain. Now it's Kino who's next up on the chopping block. Fatality Fire gets that one as well. 2 for OutCold in that fight, and totally rarely do you get to be as right as you just were, so I'll allow you to bask in it. As soon as Fatality Fire shows up, they turn that one around.
I mean, it's a level 16 Kukolin.
Not bad, huh?
The highest level in the game compared to his level 11 Artio solo counterpart.
And I mean, generally speaking, rarely does anyone get to say something and then so immediately get their evidence presented to them. You're very often right.
I mean, that's why they pay me the big gems, right?
That's right, exactly.
It's like I can kind of foresee like a soothsayer.
Well, there it is, the surrender vote coming out from MV3. I think they recognized this one was out of reach, and I believe we only request 15 from them, so maybe that's why they go just beyond it. So appreciating it there from the boys. They could not quite close that one out. OutCold are your victors 2-1.
21 kills in 15.5 minutes there. Couldn't quite keep up the pace compared to game number 1 and 2, but a lot of fireworks, honestly, between these two teams.
And OutCold, they can't improve their standings. They are not going to be making it to that placement week, but still coming out and putting up a strong performance from them to cap off what's been a really strong Phase 2 from OutCold as well. They were number 1 in Phase 1, number 2 in Phase 2. Not a bad average, I'd say, for the year.
Yeah, definitely not. You know, going 6-6, it's a neutral kind of way to end, I think, Phase number 2. There's a lot to still learn, I think, from both of these teams, honestly, if they want to try to do anything in the next season.
I think so, too. A lot for them looking forward. And then on the other side, MV3 showed us that they had a pretty impressive showing here, even without having their full roster that whole time. We have one more PS4 EU set coming up, and then, as you know, we're closing it out with Xbox NA at the end of the day. So give us a quick break, and we'll be right back.